Chapter 1. In hell, Yami, ruler of the underworld and sister to Kami, sat upon her throne looking at a man who was guilty of rape and murder and deciding what torture he would have for all eternity. When the doors to the courtroom opened and to the shock of many, Kami walked in looking pissed. Yami looked at her sister and said, "Oh, please tell me you're not here to beg for this bastard soul, sister. If you do, I swear any respect I have for you will be gone." Kami glanced at the man and said, "No, you can do with him as you please with my full approval. He's the lowest form of trash there is. I have other issues with you, sister." Yami, seeing the look on Kami's face, said, "Send him to the pits of emo to be raped for all eternity by gay fanboys after permanently dyeing his hair black and dyeing his nails purple to make him look more emo." The man screamed, "No, you can't do this, Kami, please, I beg of you, save me," as he was dragged away. After the man had been dragged away, Yami said, "So what is it, my dear sister, that you have come here for?" Kami said, "Don't play dumb with me. I want him." Yami blinked and looked confused and said, "Who? I have lots of men here." Kami said, "Do not try and act innocent. I have spent the last 12 years looking for him in both the mortal realm and heaven, and I have not found any signs of him after his birth. I even spoke with his parents who sealed QB in him. Now give me the boy." Yami blinked and said, "QB been sealed? I think you're mistaken, sister. QB here and has been ever since Shinigami brought her here nearly 13 years ago." Kami slammed her foot in the ground and the ground shook and said, "On October 10, 12 years ago according to the mortal calendar, Madara Uchiha released the QB from the seal on Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze after she gave birth to her child Naruto. Madara then had the QB attack Konoha while he fought Minato Namikaze. Minato, after forcing Madara to flee, summoned Shinigami to seal the QB along with himself and his wife into their son Naruto, turning him into a Jinchuriki. Now something happened and Minato and Kushina, instead of being sealed in Naruto like they were supposed to, were sent to heaven and Naruto vanished. After searching everywhere else, I am forced to conclude that Naruto is here in hell. Now bring him to me." Yami frowned and said, "Listen, Kami, you're maybe my sister, but I don't like being accused of doing things I haven't done." Yami was silenced when a female voice said, "Mother," catching both hers and Kami's attention. Yami said, "What is it, Shinigami? My sister is pissing me off." A black-haired woman said, "I believe I can explain for both of you what is going on." Yami stopped and said, "What do you mean?" in a neutral voice. Shinigami said, "Kami is partially correct about the details that happened on October 10 up until the moment QB was to be sealed. I was summoned that day to seal QB into a baby boy and I did arrive. I listened to what the mortal man asked to be done and he and his wife were both saying their final wishes to their son, and since he still had plenty of chakra left from summoning me, I let him have that one last final moment. As they were finishing, two men arrived. They screamed to the parents who had used some kind of shield to keep other mortals out, and the oldest one convinced the man who summoned me to drop the shield so they could get to the infant boy when the sealing was done. As he dropped the shield, a pair of kunai shot out of the tree line behind the man and hit both him and his wife in the back of their heads, instantly killing them. It didn't stop there though. The kunai had exploding tags and they went off, blasting both of the men who arrived back and injuring the infant boy. The price of summoning me was a soul. That was the price dictated by both of you. The only two souls that were available were QB and the infant boys who was dying from his injuries. I saw the man who threw the kunai use his Sharingan eyes to start to control QB again, and I became pissed, so I decided to complete the sealing and save the boy at the same time. I sealed the QB inside him and then brought him here and saved his life by giving him my own flesh to replace the skin that was burned, my own blood to replace the blood he was losing from the injuries, and my own power to heal him." Yami said, "Then, you're saying?" Shinigami said, "Yes, Maelstrom, the boy I brought before you and told you was of my own flesh and blood, is the boy I saved all those years ago, the boy I claimed as a son and who you have seen as your grandson all these years." Yami turned to Kami and said, "You said his name was Naruto. Naruto also means Maelstrom. Why did you never tell me the truth, Shinigami?" As she turned back to Shinigami. Shinigami said, "He was 2 years old when I first brought him before you. In that time I came to love him as only a mother could. I may not have gave birth to him, but he is my son. I would do whatever it takes to protect him, even defy both of you." Kami said, "I don't care if you see him as a son. He is not your son. He must be sent back to the human world along with QB, who is sealed inside of him." Shinigami said, "QB is not sealed inside of him any longer, and I won't seal her inside of him either. I will not send my son away, and I don't care what you say, Aunt. He is my son." Kami turned to Yami and said, "Order your daughter to do it," in a commanding voice. Yami turned and said, "Oh, and why should I?" in a sarcastic voice. Kami said, "The boy is too important to the future of the world. He has a destiny he must fulfill." Yami said, "What's so special about this boy that you need him?" Kami frowned and said, "The boy is the child of prophecy." Yami blinked and said, "Which prophecy? We start one of these every couple hundred years, so remind me which one we are talking about." Kami sighed and said, "The one we gave the toads, the boy who would either save the world or destroy it. You remember now?" Yami thought a moment and said, Yes, I remember what you speak about, but why him? Mortals are a dime a dozen, why can't you use someone else besides him?" Shinigami didn't break any rules really, bend them yes, break them no, so why can't you leave the boy here and chose someone else? Kami said, "Are you mad? The fate of the world rests on this one prophecy. This is the one where the fate of the Biju will be decided with the rebirth of the Juubi or the end of the Biju in the mortal world. The boy is the last of the Senju line and Madara Uchiha is the mastermind against him. He will either save the world from Madara or die and Madara will destroy the world. I can't replace him. It's taken me nearly 500 years to get to this point. You have to send him back to the mortal world. Shinigami said, "No, I won't let you take my son." Kami glared at Shinigami and said, "He is not your son. Now seal Kyuubi and send him back or else." Yami said, "Or else what, Kami?" in a dangerous tone. Kami, seeing Yami getting ready to fight, took a deep breath and said, "Remember the reason the Biju are on the mortal world first, Yami. I let you put them there as a temptation of power for the mortals so you can collect more evil souls. They would stay there until my prophecy was fulfilled, and the time of the prophecy is here, but I can't fulfill the prophecy without the boy. You have to give him to me, or surrender all the souls you have taken since the Biju arrived in the mortal world." Yami frowned and Shinigami said, "I won't do it, mother." Kami growled out, "That's it. I've had enough of you, child," as her hands were covered in white light and she shot them at Shinigami, who tried to dodge but the light hit her and she vanished. Yami turned and saw Shinigami vanish and screamed, "What did you do?" Kami said, "A deal's a deal, Yami. The boy and the kitsune or the souls you gained and your daughter. You can't have both. You have to surrender one or the other to me." Yami frowned and said, "I send Kyuubi and Naruto back to the mortal world and you give me back my daughter and leave the souls I gained alone." Kami said, "Providing your daughter does not try and bring him back. I will have one of my angels watch him to ensure she doesn't." Yami pursed her lips and said, "And when he dies?" Kami said, "He goes wherever his soul should go." Yami smoked slightly while facing away from Kami and said, "Deal." Kami said, "No tricks, Yami. The boy is too important to my plans." Yami turned and said, "The boy will make his own decisions in his life. Once he leaves here he is free to do as he pleases. I have no control over him and my daughter will see it like she is cutting the apron strings to allow him to grow up." "Deal." Kami said, "Deal. Until he is in the mortal world your daughter will be sealed away in limbo." Yami frowned and said, "He will be back in the mortal world in 3 days." Kami said, "Why not today?" Yami said, "Because he is my grandson and I want him to have the chance to say goodbye to his friends." "Why is it me that shows compassion, Kami?" Kami glared at her sister and said, "I have spent a great many years to get to this point. When he fulfills his destiny he will bring millions of souls to me. If it causes pain for him it matters not, because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few." Yami said, "Fine, get out of here so I can send for him and tell him so he may prepare to leave as well as Kyuubi. I don't want to hear about your victory." Kami smoked and said, "You're right, it will be my victory, sister." As she turned and marched away. Yami thought, "You forgot the most important rule, sister, free will. You think he goes back he will do as you want him to do. You don't know my grandson, he doesn't even do what I want him to do." And said, "Send for Kyuubi and Maelstrom." A little later a 5 feet 10 blonde-hair blue-eye whiskered-faced Naruto walked in with a red-haired girl with 9 tails waving behind her and fox ears on her head, and Naruto said, "Hey grandma, what's up?" Yami pursed her lips and said, "Tell me, Maelstrom, has your mum ever told you how you came to be?" Naruto frowned and glanced at Kyuubi and said, "What exactly do you mean came to be?" Yami said, "My sister Kami came here earlier today. She was looking for a Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze." Kyuubi quickly said, "Yami-sama, I can explain." As she quickly got on her knees and bowed. Yami said, "Do you know, Maelstrom, why Kyuubi is acting like this?" Naruto looked down and said, "Yes, she's afraid that you will destroy me for not being born of my mother." Yami said, "So you know the truth?" Naruto looked up and said, "I have a photographic memory. Mother originally gave it to me so I would remember the words my birth parents left me with, thinking they were the last words I would hear from them. I remember those words as well as the pain both physically and emotionally I felt from their death and the injuries I sustained from the explosion. I also remember everything Mother sacrificed to save me, as she cut off her own flesh to heal me and gave me her own blood. If you wish to punish anyone for lying to you over the years, let it be me. Please do not punish Mother or Kyuubi." As to the shock of everyone, he bowed to Yami, something that he never done before. Yami, who was shocked, closed her eyes and said, "Why do you bow, my grandson, when never before have you bowed to anyone?" Naruto said, "Because I never once admitted that I was wrong before and had no reason to show such a sign of weakness. In this case I am." Yami smiled and said, "Wise answer, grandson. Now arise and know from this day forward that you are my grandson in every way, no matter what anyone says." Naruto looked up in shock and Yami smiled sadly and said, "Now we have a problem. Did your mother ever tell you exactly how souls are collected?" Naruto said, "Yes, when she was training me to use my powers she took me a few times with her and explained it. For you, Shinigami collects the souls of the truly wicked who cared only for their self and their own ambitions, and for Kami, her daughter Gabrielle, collects the souls of the truly pure and noble who sacrifice everything for others. Most souls fall in the category of being in the middle, and when they die they are sent to limbo, where they wait to be reborn in the human world until they fall into one of the two categories to be sent to eternal salvation or damnation." Yami said, "Very good. Did she tell you anything else, like how a truly noble or evil person could be reborn?" Naruto said, yes, she told me that every minute after a mortal dies that a soul is not collected, one sin either good or evil is erased from their record, and if it gets to the point where all their sins or noble deeds are erased, they are automatically sent to limbo to be reborn and can't be touched. Yami said, correct. Now earlier when Kami showed up demanding you, Shinigami confessed to me the truth about you, and Kami demanded that Kyuubi be resealed in you and both of you sent back to the mortal realm because Kami claims you are very important to her future plans. Your mother refused and claimed she would defy both Kami and me to protect you because you were her son. My sister became pissed eventually and attacked your mother and sent her away to limbo and told me that I had two choices because of another deal we had long before you were even born. One was to send both of you back, or she would keep Shinigami in limbo and force me to release every soul that I collected since the original deal was made. She told me that she would release your mother once you both were in the mortal realm. Naruto clenched his fist and said, then send us there. Yami smiled and said, I plan to, but not the way my sister wants. Naruto, you are very strong and I am proud of you. It was almost time for your mother to allow you to start growing up on your own by cutting the apron strings, so to speak. You will return to the mortal realm and Kyuubi will go with you, but not sealed inside you. As she continued to tell what she wanted to do. 1 month later. Ibiki Morino spat out some blood as Aoi Rokushu drew his fist back and punched Ibiki in the stomach where he was tied up. Aoi said, now tell me the real names of the ANBU. Before Ibiki could answer, a knock was heard on the door to the cabin, making both blink. Aoi said, who's there? As he pulled out a kunai. A female voice said pleadingly, please sir, I need your help, my brother is burning up with a fever and I'm afraid he'll die, please sir, if. I don't have any money, but if you will help me I'll let you have me to do as you please, but please save my brother. Aoi blinked and Ibiki screamed, get out of here girl, he will kill you. Aoi slapped Ibiki while cursing and ran to the door and yanked it open with his kunai ready. The next moment Ibiki saw Aoi body flip as a figure appeared with his legs wrapped around Aoi head and flipped him around to where Aoi was on his back before the figure drew back a fist and shoved it down on Aoi throat, crushing his windpipe, and Ibiki heard the figure say something but couldn't make it out as it was but a whisper before the figure looked at Ibiki, who for the first time saw the look of the person and saw what looked like a teenage boy with blonde hair, blue eyes, and 3 whisker marks on his face. The teen stood up and said, are you alright? Ibiki said, who are you? The teen grabbed the kunai and walked toward Ibiki, who tensed until the teen cut the bindings holding Ibiki in place and said, the name's Naruto, are you alright? Ibiki relaxed a little as he stood up and rubbed his wrist and said, thanks for helping, but why are you here and why did you save me? Naruto said, me, I was passing by when my companion smelled blood and we came to investigate and saw you being tortured, sloppy as hell also, but anyways we decided it would be a good idea to help. Ibiki tensed a moment and said, companion, what do you mean? Naruto said, oh yeah, Kitsu. A fox came around the corner around the dead body of Aoi and Naruto said, this is Kitsu, my companion. Ibiki blinked and said, I see. Well, my name is Ibiki Morino. I'm from Konoha. Where are you from if you don't mind me asking? Where's your parents? Naruto frowned and said, my birth parents were murdered the day I was born. Grandma told me that Kami took mum away. Ibiki said, oh, well what about your grandma? Naruto said, she's in hell. As he shrugged his shoulders. Ibiki blinked and thought, what the hell, what could his grandmother had done to cause him to act like he doesn't care when he said she's in hell? And asked, wait, where's the girl I heard earlier? Kitsu said, that was me. Ibiki eyes widened and said, you can talk. As he looked at the fox. Kitsu said, I am bound to Naruto-kun until the day he dies. It's part of the contract he has. Ibiki said, contract, are you a summon? Kitsu said, yes. Ibiki said, I see. I didn't know there was a Kitsune contract. Kitsu said, there's not. Ibiki asked, then if it's not the Kitsune contract, what is it? Naruto said, I don't trust you enough to tell you, besides, you owe us for saving your life. Ibiki frowned and said, what do you want? Naruto said, directions. Ibiki blinked and said, what? Where are you trying to go? Naruto said, closest town or village. We are not from around here. Ibiki said, well where are you from? Naruto said, a distant land across the sea. The land is filled with bandits, thieves, murders, and rapists right now as someone recently took the daughter of the leader of that land hostage and forced the leader of the land to release the prisoners who were being held in a prison my grandmother was in charge of. My grandmother was forced to send me to these lands to start a new life away from my home. Someday I hope to return and help bring order, but I have to get stronger before I can. I don't want to tell you the name of my home in case you or someone else who might be listening knows about it and tries to go there causing more trouble. Ibiki said, I see. That wasn't your first kill, was it? Naruto snorts and said, no. Running the prison was sort of a family business. My grandmother was the warden, my mum brought in new prisoners and I was one of the guards. I've had my fair share of idiots thinking since I was so young I would be weak. I usually had to make an example of one every 100 or so. Ibiki said, ever thought about being a ninja? Naruto glanced at him and said, ninja you say? I don't know, I've only been in these lands about a month now and only barely understand your language. How about talking it over after a good night's sleep and a beer? Ibiki laughed and said, I think I'm starting to like you kid. Naruto stepped back holding up his hands and said, "Whoa bubba. I'm straight and easy. I don't play that." Ibiki laughed only harder as he walked over and knelt beside the body of Aoi and began to search his pockets before he frowned and said, "You didn't see anything fly away or take anything from his body, did you?" Naruto looked at Ibiki and said, "No. Why, is there something missing?" Ibiki said, "The reason I was captured is this guy used my brother to steal an item from our village. When I came after my brother I was blindsided by this guy. I was looking for the item but I can't find it and I was sure that he had it." Naruto looked at Kitsu and asked, "Did you see anything, Kitsu?" Kitsu said, "No, but I do smell two other scents around here. One is similar to Ibiki and the other is. I really don't know what that smell is. It's heading northeast though." Ibiki said, "That's heading back to Konoha. Alright, I owe you a place to stay and a meal. I'll even put in a good word with my village leader if you wouldn't mind helping me track that other scent. The item that was stolen was a village treasure and is very important." Naruto shrugged and said, "Sure. Kitsu, you mind?" Kitsu said, "Sure," as she began to sniff before running northeast. Ibiki quickly sealed the body of Aoi in a scroll and began to follow Naruto, who followed Kitsu. 3 hours later the group saw the gates of Konoha appear and Ibiki said, "Are you still following the scent?" Kitsu said, "Yes." Ibiki saw the guards at the gate and he said, "Summon a team of ANBU and have them link up with me. Both the boy and the fox are with me also." As they ran through the gates. 10 minutes later the group came to the Hokage Tower and Kitsu sniffed the air and said, "The scent is coming from above us out that open window." Ibiki frowned and said, "Alright, both of you hold on." As he placed his hand on both and shushan away. The three appeared in the Hokage office and the Sandaime Hokage sat there in his chair with the Raijin on his desk and across from him was a brown-haired teenage girl and the Sandaime said, Ibiki, I take it your mission met some complications." As he looked at Naruto for a few moments and thought, "He looks like Minato." Kitsu looked at the girl and yipped and Naruto said, "I see, the girl is the source of the scent you were tracking." Ibiki said, "Yes, the item I was telling you about is on the Hokage desk. Hokage-sama, allow me to introduce you to Naruto and Kitsu. They saved my life when I was ambushed by Aoi who proceeded to torture me before they showed up." The Sandaime froze a moment and said, "Do you have a last name, Naruto?" Naruto said, "No, my great-aunt disgraced our family many years ago and had us lose our family name." A crack of knuckles popping was heard from the girl who had clenched her fist and the Sandaime said, "Is there a problem, Ai?" The girl said, "No sir, I'm just nervous since these are the ones I was telling you about I saw over the dead body I told you about." The Sandaime said, "I see. Well, why don't you introduce yourself, Ai, and then you can as well, Naruto, as both of you have done a great service today in recovering a stolen village treasure and saving the lives of one of my ninja." Ai said, "My name is Ai Tenchi. I am originally from a small village in the valley below a temple devoted to Kami and I was asked by my village leader to head to Konoha and learn to become a medic so that I could someday return to my village to be a healer. It was for this reason when I saw the dead Konoha ninja and the legendary Raijin I read about in one of the archives of my village library that I grabbed it and came as quickly as possible to Konoha and asked if I could use it in order to become a kunoiki to Konoha so that I may learn to become a medic nin." The Sandaime said, "I see, and you Naruto?" Naruto said, "Not much I can really say. Name's Naruto. My family's been in the business of running a prison for years until the daughter to the ruler of my land was kidnapped and used as a hostage where the ruler was forced to release some prisoners who caused all kinds of problems. My mother was taken from me by Kami Somi and the little angel here will probably won't get along and my grandmother's in hell now while my homeland is filled with murders, rapists, thieves, and other demons like them. Grandma sent me here for a new life before she went to hell and I was just passing through when my companion and I came across the sight of Ibiki being tortured and decided to help him since we could tell by the way the other guy was talking and acting he was the criminal. After that when Ibiki couldn't find that little thing you have on your desk my companion picked up the girl's scent and Ibiki hired us to follow the scent and here we are, so, about the bed and beer." As he looked at Ibiki. Ibiki glanced nervously at the Sandaime who kept glancing at Naruto and Ai and said, "So you both want to become ninja of Konoha?" Ai said, "Yes Hokage-sama." Naruto shrugged and said, "Don't know. I've only been in these lands for a month. Don't really know what you call ninja. I've never been one to take orders either. I usually give them." The Sandaime frowned and Ibiki said, "Sir, while I admit that Naruto is a little rough around the edges you must consider his past with having to deal with prisoners who would test him to see if they could get away with bossing him around so he had to be strong and his skills are impressive. He was able to set a trap that distracted Aoi and made it where he couldn't did kill Aoi in less than 2 seconds sir. He's also got a summoning contract and his companion is able to track as good as an Inuzuka." The Sandaime said, "What contract do you have?" Naruto said, "Hounds," and thought, "The hounds of hell." Ibiki blinked and thought, "So that's why. I forgot kitsunes are a branch of dogs." Ai frowned and thought, Kami is not going to be happy. He was supposed to get the toads. The Sandaime sat back and said, "I see, what are you ages and when are you birthdays?" Naruto said, "October 10th, almost 13 years ago." Ai said, "Same." Causing everyone in the room to blink and the Sandaime said, "Really, that is very uncommon. Naruto, would you mind doing me a favor to prove something?" Naruto said, "No, I have nothing to prove. You can ask me what you want and I might do it, but if I don't want to I won't. The Sandime said, are you testing my patience? As he unleashed some ki. Naruto snorts unaffected by the ki and said, hey, this is how it's done. As he unleashed his ki, causing Ai and Ibiki both to drop to the ground gasping for breath while the Sandime began to sweat while frozen in place before Naruto said, and B, I am not testing you. I just desire my own privacy and I never agree to anything unless I know in advance what it is I am agreeing to. I was just passing through when I saved his life, and even if the little angel here brought in that little thing there, it would have been lost without me stopping AOI in the first place. Only reason I'm here is Ibiki promised me a place to stay the night and a beer to pay me back for saving his life and helping track the scent. That's all I'm after for now, so if you will excuse me, I'll let you continue your meeting while I wait for what is owed me. As he stopped releasing his ki and began to walk away when there was 4 Shushin in the room as the ANBU who appeared began to draw their weapons. Naruto turned, sending a palm thrust into one ANBU chest, causing the ANBU to fly out the window backwards that shattered the window. Naruto turned, delivering an uppercut to another's chin, breaking the mask and sending the ANBU up off the ground enough to hit the roof, knocking him out. Naruto slammed both his elbows into the gut of each of the 2 remaining ANBU before raising his arms from where they were still in the ANBU's stomach and slammed his fist into the mask of the ANBU, who both flew back against the bookshelf. All this happened in less than 3 seconds and Naruto turned with a kunai under the Sandime's neck, who had came around the desk, and a sword Naruto took from the ANBU was under the chin of Ibiki as both men froze in place. Naruto said, I don't like being attacked and I don't bow to anyone. We passed a dango stand on the way here. I'll buy me and Kitsu some dango and sake there and send the bill to you, Ibiki, as payment for what you owe me. After that I'm leaving. As he fell into his shadow, dropping the sword on the ground. Silence went through the room and Ai said, whoa, breaking the tension in the room. Ibiki quickly recovered and said, Hokage-sama, forgive me for bringing them in here. I had no idea he would. Ai said, blood. Interrupting Ibiki. The Sandime said, what? Ai pointed to the ground near the Sandime and said, when Naruto hit the ANBU mask it cut his hand. That was what you were after, were you not? The Sandime blinked and asked, what makes you say that? Ai looked behind her at the pictures on the wall and said, I question it myself since I saw it. Could he be the Yondaime son from an accidental birth or something? The Sandime frowned and said, you're very observant. Ai said, I try, sir. I just wish to impress you enough to be allowed to become a ninja so I could learn to be a medic. My village needs one, as the one we had died in a mudslide back in the spring. The Sandime said, very well, Ai, I want what you saw and heard today to be a secret that you are not allowed to speak with anyone about, including the possibility of who Naruto might be. Do so and I will allow you to enter the academy and will test you to see where you will be placed. Please wait outside my office and I will begin your paperwork shortly. Ai said, thank you Hokage-sama, you're very kind and noble. May Kami bless you. As she turned and left the office. Once she was gone, the Sandime reached down and using a kunai he removed from his robes picked up the drying blood and walked over to the picture of Minato and pulled on it, opening a hidden compartment where a seal was, and the Sandime placed some blood on the seal which glowed and a scroll popped out, shocking Ibiki and the Sandime. The Sandime closed his eyes and said, Ibiki, tell me everything about Naruto. Across town at the dango stand, Naruto said, thanks lady. Ibiki still in the Hokage office. Anko said, no problem Gaki. I saw you and him walking through town together, so I figure that what you said was true, but aren't you too young to drink? Naruto said, old enough to kill, old enough to drink, old enough to gamble and fuck. So got a name. Anko smirked and said, amen, someone with some brains. The name's Anko, so what's your plans after this? Naruto looked around and motioned Anko with his head, and Anko moved closer and he motioned again and Anko leaned in closer and Naruto went and whispered in her ear, that depends on how many orgasm you can handle before passing out and how soundproof your bedroom is. Anko smirked and said, sorry kid, you not my type. As she leaned back. Naruto said, I bet I can make you change your mind. With a smirk. Anko said, doubt it kid. Naruto said, once bitten twice shy ha. Causing Anko to scowl, and Naruto said, go look in the restroom mirror. You will be surprised by what you see. Anko narrowed her eyes and said, what? Naruto said, I already fulfilled your wildest dream. I bet before the end of the day I can fulfill a couple more. Anko eyes widened and she paled slightly and said, that's not funny Gaki. Naruto said, does it look like I'm joking? Go get your cute ass up so I can see it again and go see that I'm telling the truth. Anko bit her lip and jumped up and quickly moved to the restroom. As she entered the restroom, the door hadn't even closed when she moved her coat to the side and her eyes went wide as she saw the curse seal was gone from her neck and tears began to appear in her eyes when a hand wiped the tears off her left cheek, and Anko jumped back and saw Naruto there, who said, so, ever been into voyeurism? Anko said, how? Naruto said, sorry, that's my secret. Before he moved too fast for Anko to see and appeared behind her, kissing her on the neck while having one hand rubbing her stomach and another rubbing her ass, causing Anko to shiver. Anko felt her entire body getting turned on by this and Naruto whispered, you're free now, indulge in your own pleasure for once, forget the rules of norm and decencies. Indulge in your own guilty pleasure and enjoy life, you're a kunoichi, live life while you're alive. As her body orgasmed from the treatment, Naruto hands as well as his voice whispering huskily in her ear. Anko turned and began to passionately kiss Naruto, who picked her legs up, one on each side, and set her on the counter, ripping her panties off her and dropping his pants enough to free himself, and he began to fuck her hard while they kissed. Several orgasms later, Anko was about ready to pass out when the world shimmered around her, and Anko found herself standing in front of the bathroom mirror with Kurenai standing beside her and asked, "Did you hear me, Anko? Are you alright?" Anko blinked and looked around and saw the curse seal was still gone and asked, "Where's Naruto? What just happened?" As she looked back and forward and reached her hand up under her skirt and found her panties right where they should be and in one piece. Kurenai said, "Anko, what's gotten into you? Who's Naruto?" Seeing Anko freaking out, Anko ignored Kurenai and quickly left and went to the table where Naruto had been, and she found a note that said, "Enjoy your guilty pleasures, life's too short not to enjoy living it. P.S. Don't thank Kami, she's a fucking bitch. Signed, a guilty pleasure." Anko burst out laughing and whipped tears away from her eyes, and Kurenai, who had followed Anko out, read the note and said, "Are you alright, Anko?" Anko said, "Alright, you ask, am I alright? I am fucking fantastic. I'm free, Nia, look." As she moved her coat enough to show her neck clear of the curse seal, shocking Kurenai. Kurenai asked, "How?" Anko said, "A new friend, come on, this calls for a celebration." As she grabbed Kurenai's arm and began to drag her away. Naruto was nearly to the gates when AI came running up and screamed, "Naruto!" As she neared him, Naruto stopped and turned, scowling as he saw her stop a few feet away, and she said, "Where are you going? You can't leave." Naruto blinked and said, "Oh, and why is that? I don't live here, this village has nothing I want, so why should I stay here?" AI said, "Because Kami wants you here." Naruto snorts and began to walk away toward the gates, and AI said, "Hey, didn't you hear me?" Naruto turned and said, "I heard you alright, but I don't take orders from Kami or you, Angel. Ever hear of something called free will? If not, then you need to get your head out of the clouds sometimes." As he turned and started to walk away again when an ANBU team appeared. One in a dog mask said, "Excuse me, are you Naruto?" Naruto said, "No, I'm Santa Claus, can't you tell my belly, red outfit, and snow white beard? This is Rudolph and his red nose." As he pointed to Kitsu, who was on his shoulder. A ANBU in a dragon mask said, "Answer the question or you will be detained." Naruto said, "That would be the third worst mistake you could make." Inu said, "Look, we don't want any trouble. Since you match the description of Naruto, I will inform you that the Sandaime would like to have a few words with you." Naruto said, "That's nice. I'll be sure to get with him first thing the next time I'm in town." As he began to walk toward the gate, Inu said, "I'm afraid that you can't leave." Naruto scraped his thumb against his belt where attack was, and in less than a second flashed through some hand signs and said, "Kuchio's no jutsu." As he slammed his hands on the ground, a huge puff of smoke covered the area, and a set of howl that sent shivers down the spines of everyone was heard, and when the smoke cleared there was a 200-foot-tall three-headed grey and black dog standing there with Naruto on the middle head, and Naruto looked down at the people of Konoha and said, "Say hello to my little friend, Cerberus. Boys, say hello to Konoha." All three dogs howled, scaring the people. Several ninja arrived, including the Sandaime, who said, "What's going on here?" Naruto said, "You tell me. I was getting ready to leave the village when a second group of ANBU tried to stop me after I kicked the first squad's ass in your office earlier. I'm not a citizen of Konoha, I'm not a ninja of Konoha, hell, I'm not even a citizen of this country. I saved the life of one of your ninja, killed a traitor to your village, and helped in the recovery of the region that had been stolen, and now after I try to leave, your men tell me I can't leave. Give me one reason I shouldn't have my pups here piss all over your village. It's been about a year since I let these guys out to use the restroom, and they really need to go, isn't that right, boys?" As he patted the ear of the dog head he was standing on. The three dogs yipped, scaring several of the people who were nearby. The Sandaime frowned and said, "I have information that I think would interest you. It's about your birth parents, Naruto." Naruto snorts and said, "Really, and I would care about them? Why? I've lived the last 12 years without them, in the care of a woman who loved me more than either of them did." The Sandaime said, "That's not true, your parents loved you." He was stopped by a rumbling sound, and the earth began to break apart as a 10-feet-long wooden club could be seen coming out of the ground, along with a grey hand before an arm, and then a grey creature that stood over 15 foot tall came out of the ground, and Naruto said, "This is a cave troll, one of my slaves. You try and lie to me again, coward, and I'll have an army of them raise from the ground and destroy your village." Naruto saw as everyone was tensed, and Naruto said, "Now I know all about what you're going to say, coward, and I call you that because that is exactly what you and that grey-haired ANBU standing there in the dog mask are. After all, when the Yondaime and his wife were murdered in front of you by the man who caused the QB attack, you both, instead of fighting the man, turned and ran like the cowards you are. Surprise, I remember that day. It's a gift I got from Shinigami, a photographic memory. I remember as both the Yondaime and his wife each had a kunai with an exploding tag wrapped around them thrown into the back of their skulls, killing them when they were about to stop QB attack. I remember you both arriving before that and having them drop the protective shield that kept anyone from stopping them from defeating QB. I remember you both turning tail and running in fear of the man in the spiral mask. I also remember that day because that was the day I was born and the day I was set on fire by the exploding tags that killed my birth parents, and how you both abandoned me injured and screaming in pain at the feet of QB and the man with spiral mask. The Sandime frowned and said, then your coming here was a setup. Laughter could be heard coming from Naruto, who said, please, like I give a damn about this pathetic village or you. You want to know the reason I came here, because Kami is a fucking bitch. For the past 12 years I have been raised by Shinigami herself, who saved me the day that you abandoned me. I am the accepted and honored grandson of Yami, guardian of hell, and godson of the Kyuubi, isn't that right grandmother? As he looked at the fox on his shoulder and was covered in smoke, and then a sight that scared the shit out of nearly everyone appeared, with the Kyuubi in all her glory standing beside Cerberus before she jumped into the air and turned into her human hybrid form and shushined beside Naruto. Naruto said, now you want to know why I am here. You see that girl there, AI? Well, she's not human. She's in fact an angel sent here to make sure my mother doesn't come and bring me home, because Kami a fucking bitch who kidnapped my mother, Shinigami, and forced Grandma Yami to send me to Earth to clean up your fucking mess, coward. Why don't you tell the people of this village how you have lied to them all these years along with every other Hokage? That Kyuubi was in fact sealed in the wife of the Shodime Hokage, who before her death sealed the Kyuubi into Kushina Uzumaki, who became the wife of the Yondaime Hokage. That the reason Kyuubi attack was because Madara Uchiha is still alive, and that he was the man who broke the seal holding Kyuubi prisoner and used his Sharingan on her to force her to attack your village, but you don't, coward. Instead you run away and keep secrets, but that is what you're good at. After all, it was you, Koharu, Homaru, and Danzo who ordered the Uchiha massacre that Itachi carried out, with the help of Madara Uchiha. That Danzo stole the Sharingan eyes from the bodies of the Uchiha clan for power. That he had your student Orochimaru rob the graves of the Shodime Hokage so he could experiment on your people to recreate the Mokudan bloodline. But your lies don't end there. The cursed seal that Anko has been heard by all these years, that was secretly being funded by you. Why don't you tell how you didn't force Orochimaru to flee until he actually created a working Mokudan test subject? Isn't that right, dragon? Naruto smirked as he saw the shocked looks on everyone's faces, and Naruto said, bet you're wondering how I know all this. Damned men who are going to be punished for all eternity are willing to spill their guts for a chance at a lesser sentence. You would be surprised how many ninja get sent to hell. Guess that's what you get for being nothing but murderers, rapist, assassin, and thieves. What's wrong, Angel? Pissed that I'm not playing Kami game. I don't care. I'm not her pawn and she can go fuck herself. The deal was for me to return to this world and deal with the Biju and Madara. She didn't specify how I did it. She also said I had to bring Kyuubi with me, never said I couldn't bring anyone else. AI glared at Naruto, and Naruto said, now I never like to go anywhere without getting my friends and family gifts. Danzo, yes, you soul is evil as hell and tainted from all the things you have done. I think it will make a great gift for Grandma Yami. Your soul is mine. As his eyes changed from blue to black and everyone saw as a ghostly figure that looked like Danzo started to scream coming out of Danzo's body as it headed toward Naruto and into his eye before he was silenced. At this everyone was freaking out, with many running away. Naruto said, Cerberus, you need a new chew toy, those gates look like they will do. The three heads of the dogs grabbed the gates and began to shake, tearing them from the walls. Naruto said, and this will make a nice gift for Mum to tempt mortals with. As he activated the Rasengan, shocking those who were watching before he pocketed it. Kyuubi said, what about me, Naruto-kun? Naruto said, troll, goblins, destroy the faces on the mountain since all of them have committed crimes against Kyuubi and should not be honored. Nearly 100 small green arms shot out of the dirt before everyone saw goblins appearing, and they all ran toward the mountain. Many ninja began to try and attack the goblin and the troll, as well as Cerberus, who turned and began to run away with the gates in all three of its mouths, chewing on them. AI frowned and looked around before she hunched forward, and angel wings shot out of her back, shocking many who doubted Naruto's words before she took flight into the air and began to chase after Naruto. Chapter 2. It was several hours later at dusk when AI landed in a clearing and began to look around after having ranted to herself over what Naruto had pulled on her flight after them. She soon found Naruto and Kistu sitting by a fire with several fish over it, and Naruto motioned to the fire and said, would you like a fish, Angel, or is it beneath you to eat mortal food? AI bit her lip and took several moments to calm down and finally asked, why did you do that back in Konoha? Do you have any idea what you have just done? Naruto said, I know exactly what I have done. As he smirked. AI bit her lip seeing that smirk and said, you have ruined. Naruto interrupted her laughing, causing AI to scowl and asked, what are you laughing at? Naruto said, what is Kitsu here? As he motioned to Kitsu. AI looked confused and said, a demon. Kitsu said, a kitsune. AI said, yeah, what does that have to do with anything? Naruto said, do you really think having a kitsune for a godmother would come without a few benefits, like learning kitsune illusions? AI blinked and became more confused, causing Naruto to cover his mouth to keep from laughing, and AI said, what is so funny? You have ruined Kami. Naruto burst out laughing, and Kitsu, who also was snickering, saw AI get a tick mark above her eye, and Kitsu said, everything that happened after the moment the dog faced Anbu asked you Naruto was an illusion he placed on you. While you were trapped in the illusion, Naruto and I were taken to see the Hokage, and you revealed to the village your wings and flew away chasing a Kichibunshin who was powering the illusion to make you think that we were fleeing the village. Gotcha, sire, in Konoha. As both disappeared in a puff of smoke and the fire disappeared along with the fish. A moment later AI screamed in frustration before taking flight and heading back to Konoha as night set in. When AI made it back to Konoha, it was already after midnight, having to fly slower and change directions to make it to Konoha. As she was walking through the village, a team of ANBU appeared around her and she, frozen one in a Neko mask, said, "Surrender and come with us." AI sighed as she was led away. Soon she came to the Hokage residence where the Sandaime Hokage, who was in a robe with a scowl on his face, said, "AI, why did you leave the village and how did you fly away?" AI took a breath and said, "I have wings and can fly because it's my bloodline. My last name should explain it. I was so excited about having your approval to join the academy so I could become a medic. I flew all the way back to my village and informed them. I know it was pretty stupid, but so many people back home are counting on me and I just wanted to let them know it was going to be okay." As she looked down and thought, "Kami, forgive me for lying. It's for the greater good." The Sandaime said, "I see. I am giving you only one warning, AI, as I can understand what you must have felt, but this is your only warning. This is not your home village. This is Konoha and there are rules that must be followed. If you want to return to your home village you will have to get clearance from me. Does your bloodline have any other effects besides giving you wings and the ability to fly?" AI said, "Not that I am aware of, sir. Since most of my family have devoted our life to Kami, we are not much for fighting or using our bloodline for more than quickly going from one place to another." The Sandaime said, "Very well, remember, this is your only warning. If you disobey me I will have to have your memory sealed away of everything that happened to Konoha and banish you from here. Do you understand?" AI said, "Yes, Hokage-sama, and thank you." The Sandaime said, "Then go to your apartment I gave you and get some sleep. You have to be at the academy at 7:30 AM tomorrow." AI said, "Yes, Hokage-sama. What happened to Naruto?" The Sandaime said, "You can ask him yourself tomorrow when you see him at the academy. Now if you will excuse me, it is late and I want some sleep. ANBU, return to your duties." As he turned and went back in his home, AI saw the ANBU had disappeared and she sighed and began to leave as well. An hour later she walked up a set of stairs and thought, "Kami, please no more. My first day in the mortal world and it was a nightmare. I didn't even eat yesterday." She soon came to apartment 316 of the Chestnut Apartments while feeling sleep nibbling at her senses, and she opened the door and stepped in and thought, "Oh thank you Kami, the apartment is furnished. Must find bed." As she quickly found a bedroom and as she saw the bed she saw her vision getting blurry and she dragged herself to the bed and fell into it, passing out before she hit the bed. The next morning when AI had the rays of sunlight come in through the window she groaned and moved into her pillow and said, "Warm." A male voice said, "Thanks, you smell nice also." A few moments later her mind froze and she jumped up and screamed, "Ah!" As she pulled the cover around her and saw Naruto in the bed in only a pair of black silk boxers and she screamed, "What are you doing in my bed, you filthy heathen?" Naruto rubbed his ears and said, "Damn, you sure have a set of lunges. Now the question you should be asking is what are you doing in my bed in my apartment, and the only reason I'm dirty is because of you and your dirty skanky ass cloths. You and that bony ass of yours fell on me at 3 AM this morning making me dirty." AI, who was blushing from the dirty cloth part, said, "This is my apartment. Apartment 316. Naruto said, "Wrong, go look at the number on the door. This is apartment 319, you airhead, and give me back my cover. I furnished this place and I am not letting you steal what is mine." As he yanked the cover from her, AI frowned and Kitsu's voice said, "Damn kid, don't tell me you fucked the angel. I didn't know you were that desperate for a bed partner." Naruto looked at Kitsu, who was in her human form with red hair and red eye, who was at the doorway, and said, "I'm not. This bony ass bitch came in here at 3 in the morning and fell on top of me. If she wouldn't have been passed out when she landed I would have slit her throat since I had already a kunai under her neck for breaking in last night," causing AI to pale. AI said, "But this is apartment 316. The apartment the Sandaime gave me." Kitsu said, "Told you we should have went to the landlord over that loose nail on the number 9 yesterday. You said nobody would be stupid enough to think this was 316 since 317 was beside us along with 321 and across from us is 318. Guess you were wrong, kid." Naruto said, "Yeah, I guess they don't teach common sense in heaven. Well, you're awake and I need breakfast and a shower, so get out, angel." As he glared at AI. AI said, "But." Naruto screamed, "Now," scaring AI, who quickly ran out the bedroom and out the door. After she was gone Kitsu said, "Kid, I know you're pissed and I understand why you are treating her like that, but don't become something you're not. Yami told you all she wanted us to do was come together with me acting as your servant and friend, and you live the life like you want and be yourself. Don't let her or Kami decide what you do. It's your free will. I respect that and I respect why you are treating the angel like you are, but do it your way. Not as a demon. You are better than our kind." As she turned and left, Naruto looked at the place Kitsu had stood moments before and thought, or am I a demon who has been awakened by those who came into his territory? As his body shimmered slightly and a less normal-looking Naruto sat there with scar covering most of his chest as he closed his eyes as memories of pain shot through him before he shook his head and his body shimmered again and he looked normal. When Naruto and Kitsu were ready both walked out of the apartment and began to walk toward the stairs when Naruto stopped, as did Kitsu outside of door 316 because the sound of crying came from the other side of the door. Naruto looked at the door for several minutes as Kitsu looked at him and she finally said, "Kit," in a questioning tone. Naruto turned and said, "Let's go." As he started to walk away, Kitsu looked at him and then at the door one more time before she began to follow Naruto. Naruto bit his lip and thought, no, she is my enemy. I must get rid of her. Ai, who was leaning against the door in the empty apartment, was crying with her knees to her chest when she heard Kit. And moments later, let's go. And she recognized the voices of Naruto and Kitsu, and she took her hands and wiped her face quickly before going to the bathroom. When Naruto got to the academy with Kitsu, he saw the Sandime standing there and he said, you're a bit earlier than I expected, Naruto. We just have to wait on Ai and I'll take you 3 in to get registered. A few minutes later Ai came running up and Naruto thought, her cloths are wet, are those her only clothes? And she said, sorry Hokage-sama if I am late. The Sandime said, you're right on time, but why are your clothes wet? Ai said, it's from where I took too long in the shower. The steam soaked into my clothes. They will be fine in a little while. The Sandime said, very well. Come, as he began to lead the 3 into the academy. A few minutes after stopping by the office to get registered, the Sandime took them to room 301 and knocked on the door. The door opened and a black-haired man with a scar on his nose stood there at the door and said, oh, hello Hokage-sama, can I help you? The Sandime walked in followed by the 3 teens and he said, yes Iruka, I have 3 new students who have recently come to Konoha who have decided to join us. Even though they are all a year older than the rest of your class and skilled, I feel that allowing them a chance to get to know those in your class would help them learn about our village as well as the clans of Konoha. Both Kitsu here and Ai have bloodlines. Naruto said, all 3 of us do Sarutobi. Iruka said, show Hokage-sama pro. The Sandime placed his hand on Iruka's shoulder and said, Naruto is a special case Iruka. He can call me anything he wants as he has no respect for me due to a crime I committed against him along with other ninja who are under my command. Naruto will not show respect to anyone unless they earned it in his eyes. If he decides to tell you about himself, then you will understand why. Naruto, please restrict your skills and do not put any of my ninja in the hospital or graveyard. Mizuki said, you're joking, right Hokage-sama? The Sandime looked at Mizuki and said, no, Naruto here killed a missing ninja of Konoha in less than 3 seconds. He took out an entire squad of ANBU as well as put both Ibiki and myself in kill shots all in less than 3 seconds. Truth is I believe Naruto is good enough to be a special Junin, but to the fact he has been in a different country outside of the elemental nations most of his life and has only been here for a month and is learning our language and customs, I felt placing him here at the academy with those around his age group would help him as well as giving him time to learn about our land. Also giving us a chance to evaluate his skills and his servant properly. Those are the only reasons he is here. Everyone was shocked and Ai said, servant. I thought slavery was illegal in Fire Country Hokage-sama. Kitsu said, it is not slavery. I owe Naruto-kun a life debt and while I may be the last of my clan, I still follow the rules of my clan and my life is owed to him for saving my life. Until the day he dies I am his, at which point I am honored bound to kill myself unless he has a duty he wishes me to complete after his death. Once that is done I am honored bound to die so that I can serve him in the afterlife, and in case some of you think of trying to save my life to get me as your servant, it won't work as I am the already bound and nothing will change that. Ai frowned and Iruka said, very well, why don't you introduce yourselves to the class and we can get class started. Ai waited a moment and saw both Naruto and Kitsu looking at her and she sighed and said, my name is Ai Tenshi and I came to Konoha to learn to become a medic nin so that I can someday return to my home village to be a doctor since our last doctor died in a mudslide. My village has no name as we are under the control of one of the temples of Kami who are neutral to all nations. As she stepped back showing she was done. Kitsu stepped forward and said, my name is Kitsu Henge of the Henge clan of Water Country. The land of water has a civil war going on where anyone with a bloodline is thought to be the source of wars and are hunted down and killed. As far as I know I am the last of my clan and that was how Naruto and I met as he saved my life from those who were attacking me because of who I am. As she stepped back. Naruto sighed and looked at Sarutobi a moment and said, graduation, right. Sarutobi said, as per our agreement. Naruto closed his eyes and when he opened them they were black and the next moment the entire room shimmered, startling everyone as they saw they were on the streets of Konoha with Kitsu in her fox form on Naruto's shoulder and Ai standing beside him, and Naruto turned and said, I heard you all right, but I don't take orders from Kami or you angel. Ever hear of something called free will? If not, then you need to get your head out of the clouds sometimes. As he turned and started to walk away again when an ANBU team appeared. One in a dog mask said, excuse me, are you Naruto? Naruto said, no, I'm Santa Claus, can't you tell my belly, red outfit, and snow white beard? This is Rudolph and his red nose. As he pointed to Kitsu who was on his shoulder. A ANBU in a dragon mask said, answer the question or you will be detained. Naruto said, that would be the third worst mistake you could make. Inu said, look, we don't want any trouble. Since you match the description of Naruto I will inform you that the Sandime would like to have a few words with you. Naruto said, that's nice. I'll be sure to get with him first thing the next time I'm in town. As he began to walk toward the gate. Inu said, I'm afraid that you can't leave. Naruto glanced at Ai a moment and then Ai leaned forward and angel wings shot out of her back and she flew into the air away from Konoha, shocking everyone on the street, and Naruto said, whoa, she really is an airhead. Her family must be considered as hell to call their family name Tenchi, so you won't let me leave without seeing your village leader. Fine, let's get this over with. Inu walked over and placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder opposite of Kitsu and Shushin, both to the Hokage office, and the Sandaime said, Naruto, thank you for coming again, and I wish to say I'm sorry for starting things on the wrong foot earlier. Inu, you may leave us and continue your duties. Inu said, before I go Hokage-sama, I think you should know that girl who was here earlier just sprouted wings from her back and flew away from the village when we were asking Naruto to come with us. Sarutobi frowned and said, very well, inform all ANBU if she returns to detain her and bring her to me for questioning. Inu nods and Shushin's away, and Naruto said, so what are you holding me prisoner here for? Your ninja wouldn't let me leave, and I don't feel like kicking more of their ass today, especially in front of civilians who will instantly think I am the bad guy when I'm the victim here. I swear, this is the last time I save one of your ninja life, you ungrateful bastard. As he glared at Sarutobi. Sarutobi sighed and said, I am sorry the way things have happened, and it is not my intentions to cause trouble, and I am very thankful for your help in saving Ibuki life. So grateful that I have some information that I believe will interest you. I have information about your birth parents. Naruto blinked and reached up and rubbed Kitsu's neck and said, really, and how can you be sure that these so-called birth parents you claim are really mine? Were you there the day I was born? Sarutobi said, yes I was. Naruto said, I see. I take it you used the blood from where I scraped my hand against the ANBU mask when I kicked their ass earlier and used it against my parents on some kind of seal which unsealed something. Right. Sarutobi said, yes. Naruto said, and the items that was unsealed. Does it belong to me or does it belong to the village? Sarutobi said, I'm afraid it was your father's journal of secret information that is important to Konoha. Your father was. Naruto said, enough, I have only one question, is there anything that my birth parents left that I can have? I mean money, jutsu, property, anything of value I can use or sell that you can give me right now, yes or no? Sarutobi said, since Kono. Naruto said, yes or no, is it the yes part that confuses you or the no part? Sarutobi frowned and said, no. Naruto said, then do I have any other family, siblings, aunts, uncles? Anyone? Sarutobi said, no. Naruto said, then we have nothing to talk about. Now I am leaving, as he turned and started toward the door. Sarutobi said, wait, don't you want to know about your parents? Naruto looked at Sarutobi and his eyes turned black and the world shimmered and showed a field and showed a red-haired woman with chains shooting out of her body holding the Kyuubi and the Yondaime with the ghostly figure of the Shinigami behind him, and the woman said, don't be a picky eater and I'm sorry but you're going to face hard and painful times ahead, son. You. Sarutobi, who was outside of a barrier, said, Minato, Kushina, stop. There has to be another way than sealing the Kyuubi into your son. Minato looked over at him and said, Naruto has to be sacrificed to save the village, Sarutobi. I never wanted this burden passed on to my son and I wanted to be there for him, but protecting the village comes first. Kakashi said, Sensei, at least drop the barrier so we can help you and get your son to safety. It will give you more chakra to finish the sealing. Minato said, very well, release, as he put his hands together. The barrier around them dropped and a figure who was in the trees screamed, fools. Catching everyone's attention as a pair of kunais sailed through the air and went into the heads of Minato and Kushina before exploding. The baby blanket with Naruto on it began to smoke from a small ember while the man in the mask looked at Kyuubi and said, Kyuubi, hear me and follow my commands. I command you to continue your attack on. A scream drew everyone's attention as the blanket caught on fire and it was baby Naruto screaming, and both Sarutobi and Jiraiya looked at Naruto and Sarutobi said, we must prepare the village, there's nothing we can do for him. As both shushined away. Everything shimmered in the room again and found Sarutobi and Naruto in the Hokage office, and Naruto said, you and the other man abandoned me to be consumed by flames at the feet of the Kyuubi and at the hands of the man you watched murder my birth parents. You are one of 5 people I hate. Until you admitted that you were there the day I was born I did not know it was you for sure, since you have aged greatly since that day. I knew you looked a lot like the person from my memory but I wasn't for sure until that moment. Sarutobi frowned and said, Naruto, you have too. Naruto said, shut the fuck up. As he unleashed a little ki. Naruto said, do you know who the other 4 people I hate are? I hate the man who left with you, whoever he was, for abandoning me. I hate Minato and Kushina also. Sarutobi said, you hate your parents, why? In a shocked voice. Naruto said, Jinchuriki, the power of a human sacrifice, that was what the sealing that they were performing. They were going to seal the Kyuubi into me. I looked up what that ritual was and I found out Jinchuriki are used as weapons. You take a newborn child and you seal a demon inside the child so the child would take the chakra from the demon and could use it for the good of the village. Those are the lucky bastards. Me, if they would have succeeded in sealing Kyuubi in me. I also read about what happened to Jinchuriki, who were created to save their village. They were treated as demons themselves by the people they were used to save. I hate Minato and Kushina because they were willing to sacrifice me to a life of pain, loneliness, and suffering, and for what? Because they love me. I call bullshit. If a parent loves their child they would protect the child when faced with what they were facing. They could have took me and got the fuck out of the area like any parent who loved their child, but did they? No, they purposely sought out and captured Kyubi to seal it in me so they could curse me to a life of pain and suffering so they could go and lick Kami pussy and fuck her for blessing them for doing the noble thing and causing their child to suffer a lifetime of pain and suffering. Sarutobi frowned and said, they did what they had to in order to protect the village. Naruto said, and that brings me to the fifth person I hate. Kami herself. Everyone preaches about the good of the many outweigh the good of the few. You abandoned me to be burned alive for the good of the many. My parents planned to curse me by sealing a demon in me to live a life of pain and suffering for the good of the many. My true mother was taken from me by Kami because of the good of the many, but I call bullshit. You're a fucking ninja as was Minato and Kushina. They don't have honor and neither do you. You get paid by your client to murder, steal, and hurt whoever it is that pissed off your client, and your kunoichi are paid prostitutes. The Fire Lord wants to build a new hot spring for himself in a village, but the place where he wants it built has the only grocery store in the village and he refuses to sell his land that has been in his family for generations. The Fire Lord pays you to kill that man and you send your ninja to do it so the Fire Lord could have his hot spring while the town suffers from the loss of the store as well as the loss of their friend or family. Where is the good of the many there, huh? You say that so you don't have to feel bad at night for the things you do. Sarutobi frowned and Naruto said, well, face this. And he ripped his shirt off and put his hands together and said, release. As the air around Naruto shimmered and the Sandime gasped as he saw the scars on Naruto's body, and Naruto said, this is the result of you abandoning me. After you left and the man in the mask left while I suffered from my wounds, a woman who witnessed what had happened came to me and she tried to heal me using her own flesh. She cut and peeled from her body and her own blood to help replace what I lost while also using her chakra to heal me before she took me with her and raised me as her son until Kami took her from me. Sarutobi looked down and said, I am sorry, Naruto. Naruto was silent for several moments and said, are you truly sorry? Sarutobi said, yes. Naruto said, then how about a deal? The room shimmered again and everyone found themselves in the classroom and several kids got up and ran either to the window, the trash can, or out of the class and began to puke. Aruka and Mizuki didn't look much better and AI looked at Naruto with tears and he saw this and said, don't give me those fucking tears, Angel, you're the sixth person I hate and you know why. Is that all, Aruka? I don't think your class is feeling well. Aruka gulped and said, yes. Class is dismissed for the day. Naruto nods and fell into his shadow and Kitsu quickly ran out of the room. After they were gone, Aruka said, sir, what? The Sandime said, just accept him as a student and treat him as any other student but don't expect respect. That is all I can say, but do not attempt to pass him early, Aruka. He has to stay and graduate with this class. That's all I can say. Mizuki said, what about Kyubi, sir? I mean, with what we just saw, the story about Kyubi defeat and death can't be true if that was real. The Sandime said, it was real. I don't know what happened to Kyubi. I must return to my duties. As he shushined away. Aruka frowned and thought, what was the deal you made and why are you so off, sir? It was several hours later when Shikamaru and Choji were walking up a small hill and Shikamaru said, troublesome. What are you doing here? Naruto frowned and said, I was enjoying the clouds until you showed up. I thought for sure I could get some privacy here. Shikamaru said, troublesome, as he sat down and fell back looking at the sky and said, Shikamaru Naro, and this is my best friend Choki Akamaki. Naruto said, Naruto, just Naruto, you both were in that class, weren't you? Choji said, yeah, Chip. Naruto glanced at him and then at the chip and Choji said, what, you don't like ranch? I got barbecue also, as he took a bite of one and pulled out another bag of chips. Naruto said, sorry, I've had prisoners try and poison me or bribe me all the time back home, so I learned to be cautious around accepting things. Shikamaru said, prisoners, why did you hang around with prisoners? Naruto was quiet a moment and said, my grandmother ran a prison and my mum brought in new prisoners. I was basically head of security there. It's one of the reasons I'm such a hard ass. Shikamaru said, besides your beef with the Sandime and that girl. Naruto said, well, they're that also, so why aren't you both freaked out? Shikamaru grunted and Choji said, my family owns a restaurant and I have had to help prepare the animals for cooking, and Shikamaru family are deer herders, so he has had to kill them, so you could say we both are immune to things like that. Do they hurt? I mean the scar tissue. Our families are also into medicines as well. Naruto was quiet a moment and said, no, all the pain receptors in my body have been destroyed and all the pain neurons in my brain were fried. Choji said, I bet that's a handy in a fight. Naruto frowned and said, no, it makes it more dangerous for me. I can feel contact but no pain, so I could punch my hand through a glass window and know I made contact and not feel the pain but have my hand cut up really bad from it, which could cost me the use of my hands or bleed to death. I have to constantly be on alert to what my body comes in contact with to make sure I don't overdo it. Before a smirk appeared on his face and said, but back home in the pit of endurance it was one hell of an advantage. Choji asked, what's the pit of endurance? Naruto said, well, I told you how I was head of security at the prison. The pit of endurance was a 100-level basic street brawl. All the real violent prisoners, the ones who were charged with murder or preying on the weak. To help keep them from in control by never letting them completely recover, we forced all of them into this pit and they would fight against each other to try and make it past the 100th level. Only one prisoner was allowed to get past that 100th level and whoever did got an hour of semi-freedom. They would be allowed to have a date from the other prisoners, either a man or a woman depending on Thea's sexual preference, who share a dinner until both were stuffed. They would get to enjoy a hot spring for an hour together alone, and then a special room with soundproofing so they could be alone all night, but the next morning at 6 a.m. they would be released back into general population, and at 9 a.m. all the violent criminals would be released back into the pit again. Shikamaru, whose eyes had gone darting back and forward, sat up and said, "And you were in this pit?" Naruto smirked and said, "Damn good steak. I was the only guard who would go into the pit and fight hand to hand with them. No chakra, no weapons, and no armor. It showed 'em I wasn't some 2-bit punk they could beat on. I wasn't the one locked in with them, they were the ones locked in it with me. Then after I won I offered my free dinner companion for information. Whoever was willing to rat out about contraband or escape attempts or things like that, and the info had to be real and proven, I would allow to share the meal and let them have the hot spring and room to themselves after they told me everything they knew." Choji said, "And you always won?" Naruto said, "No, there were a few who avoided the fighting or picked which fights to fight so they could quickly advance to the higher levels. It was as much of a race as it was a test of battle skills. Of course, after the prisoners saw who did it, they would set traps to gang up on them the next day, making it harder for that person to win again, and friends become allies today and enemies who stab you in the back tomorrow, and it helped to make it where they wouldn't work together since they couldn't trust the other prisoners. I kept trying to get Grandma to let me change the rules to where the last man standing also gets a prize, but she wouldn't let me. Said I had to be fair. It was supposed to be hell for them, why should I be fair?" As fake tears rolled down his face, causing Shikamaru and Choji to sweet drop. Both boys thought, he's crazier than Ino, Sakura, and Sasuke put together. Once Naruto calmed down, Shikamaru shook his head and Naruto said, "Go ahead. I know you want to." Choji asked, "Want to what?" Naruto said, "Ask what's my beef with the angel and what my deal with Sarutobi is that would make stay." Shikamaru asked, "And the answer to those questions are?" Naruto said, "Ever wonder what really happened to Kyuubi?" Causing both boys to set up and look at Naruto, who was on his back looking at the clouds. Shikamaru said, "Yes." Naruto said, "To know that answer you need to know the truth about Kami and Yami. Kami and Yami both, when they were given the world of mortals, couldn't agree on what to do with it and the mortals living here. Our world is only one of many that has mortals on it. Anyways, I won't bore you with any more on that and get on with the story. Kami and Yami both were debating about what to do with the world one day when they saw a man who looked very weak from hunger, who lived on an island filled with a lot of other people who were also hungry because a hurricane came through and destroyed Their Island and Their crops. Kami was about to go before the man and tell him to share the fish with everyone on the island because she believed the needs of the many outweighed the needs of the few. Yami saw the man and said that he should feed himself since he worked hard for it and he need the food. They fought like sisters do until they made a bet. They would let the man decide himself without Their direct involvement. Kami said if the man gave the fish to others, she would create a place to reward him where he would never have to suffer again. Choji asked, "What does this have to do with anything and how do you know this?" Naruto looked at Choji and said, "Patience, my big-boned friend, and all will be revealed." In that moment Naruto earned the respect of both Shikamaru and Choji as he continued, "Anyways, they waited and the man did offer to share the fish with others, but the other people who saw the fish and saw there wasn't enough for everyone attacked the man and killed him. Yami saw this and she became angry and decided to punish those people who killed the man by being selfish. That was how what we know as heaven and hell was created." Both sisters were outraged over the man's death as both felt that neither option the man had before him required his death, but it was in that moment when both sisters agreed that they made the bet that would change the future of our world. No direct influence over mortals. Kami would reward those who were truly selfless the reward of heaven, while Yami would punish those who were truly selfish with hell. But the problem was that neither sister could actually touch the mortal world by their own agreement, so they sent those who followed the, primarily Their daughters. Kami daughter is Gabrielle and Yami daughter is Shinigami. Choji said, "Shinigami a woman?" Naruto smiled softly and said, "Yeah. She wears that mask to put the fear in souls who were evil to stop them from thinking she's weak and can attack her when she comes for Their souls. She's actually very beautiful under that mask." Shikamaru said, "Your mother, the woman who took care of you and saved you, she's the Shinigami, isn't she?" Naruto said, "Yep. Took you 3 seconds longer than I thought it would." Choji looked back and forward and said, "Wait, what are you talking about?" Shikamaru said, "Think about everything you saw and heard. He was left at the feet of the Kyuubi and the man who was controlling Kyuubi. Everyone in Their right mind would have been running away from the Kyuubi, not standing there and watching everything that was happening. The only person who could have stood there was someone who doesn't have a fear of Kyuubi, which was the Shinigami. The way he talks about the prison and how he knows about the creation of hell and heaven as well as the girl with wings, she's an angel sent by Kami to watch him. Kitsu, she's the Kyuubi, isn't she?" Naruto said, "Yep," still sitting back with his arms behind his head. Shikamaru frowned and said, "Troublesome, why did you tell us this?" Naruto looked at him and said, "I lived in hell since the moment Shinigami saved me. I was happy there with my mother, grandmother Yami, and my friends, but then Yami came because she had this big plan for me since before I was ever born. She had this plan where I was supposed to be this huge savior for the world and would decide the fate of the Biju. The man in the mask. His name is Madara Uchiha. He's got some plan I don't know about, beside it involves turning the Biju into his ultimate weapon. Either I will stop him and save the world or die and he will destroy the world. That was Kami's goal for me. She came into hell after finding out I wasn't in the mortal world or heaven and demanded I come back. Mother and Yami refused and Kami attacked my mother and sent her to limbo, forcing Grandma Yami to send me to this world before she would release Mother. She also said she was sending one of her angels to make sure Mum didn't come and take me back to hell. Shikamaru said, which is why you are so hostile toward AI. Naruto said, yeah, Kami acts like I am her puppet to jump through her hoops. She's wrong, all life has the choice of free will. I can walk Kami path, or create my own, which I am doing. I'll eventually get to Madara and take care of the Biju, but I will do it my way. Shikamaru said, you still haven't told us why you were telling us this. Naruto frowned and said, because I can't let Kami win the bet her and Yami made. Kami believes that when Madara begins his plan, mortals will begin to sacrifice everything for their friends and family, thus gaining her a lot of souls which she needs to win the bet. Choji asked, what is the bet exactly? Naruto said, mortality. All I do know is that it involves a soul. The soul of the fisherman. One who should have been blessed and one who should have been avenged, and yet neither was done. Both Yami and Kami are waiting on his soul to be reborn. Both sisters then will display to him what both have done in his honor. Kami showing all she has blessed for being noble and honor like he was, and Yami will show all she has punished like the people who attacked and killed the man should have been. He will then choose which sister he believes should rule the world. Shikamaru said, you still haven't said why you are telling us this. Naruto said, as part of my free will I decided to take souls that would go to Kami when they die away by making them just a little less noble and honorable so they will be reborn. I've already done that to 60 souls currently. Tomorrow when you go to the academy, some of your classmates will most likely drop out seeing being a ninja isn't so honorable or fantasy like they heard stories about. I've also freed a woman from a curse she had placed on her which caused her to follow the rules of others and suffer because of her following the orders of her sensei when she was a genin, and I told her she should enjoy life because it is too short to live now that she's free of the curse so she doesn't have to constantly be tortured as she was. Choji took out another bag of chips and said, I also saw another person in the village I plan to help free from a burden. In fact right now a bunch of me is talking with her. For years she has sacrificed her time, her life, her friends, her love, her respect, her dignity, and so much more. That woman is your mother Yoshina. Choji dropped the bag and Shikamaru stood up glaring and said, what did you do to my mum? Naruto said, just talk. Tell me, what do you see when you look at your mum? Shikamaru said, my mother. Naruto smiled and said, yeah, I should have seen that answer coming. Children always look at our parents in tinted glasses. Your mum life revolves around being a housewife. She cooks meals that are usually ate by herself, she cleans the house up after you and your father, she does your clothes, she shops for your food and weapons, she sacrifices her life so she can sit at home alone waiting on you to come in and tell her she's troublesome and for your dad to come home either drunk or frustrated about the council, and then she gets the food she put in the oven for him and takes his cloths and washes them. She does everything for you and your dad, but when was the last time she actually got a true thank you? A true I love you? Your parents sleep in separate beds. She sleeps alone and lives in a house alone and she is always alone. She doesn't have friends, she doesn't go shopping for herself unless she absolutely has to. She never has a chance to cry on a shoulder or tell her problems or worries to. She sacrifices her life for you and your father and will be blessed by Kami for it, but why should she go to heaven and be alone when the husband and son she sacrificed her mortal life for are either going to be reborn or go to hell depending on what kind of life you lived? Mike Bunshin had a talk with her reminding her of who she used to be, what life was like to have friends, to go shopping or to the hot springs to relax, to have her hair done, to buy her a dress just because she thought it was nice, not because she needed it. To go to a bar and have a drink or go to a tea house and chat with other women about life, not sit at home and be the perfect housewife or the troublesome mother. I'm a Bunshin also. I found out this is where you came to Cloud Watch so I could talk to you. You have a chance to change things, you have free will. Do what you think you should. As he went up in smoke. Shikamaru frowned as his eyes darted back and forward and Choji said questionably, Shikamaru. Shikamaru said, troublesome. I don't know if I should kill him or thank him. A female voice said, do both. Causing both boys to turn and saw Kitsu standing there and they paled. Kistu said, relax. I'm not as evil as you think I am. Shikamaru said, and why should I believe you? Kitsu sighed and said, the Biju, we were sent here by Yami to tempt mortals with power. Our power. Mortals would want our power as a weapon but they couldn't handle our power unless we were placed in them while they were children. The children would then be influenced by those around them. Those who wanted our power would have their souls sent to hell while those who had us sealed in them would be sent to heaven when they died since they suffered so much. While mortals would absorb some of our power while we were sealed in them, we would absorb their sins. The sins those who were around us influenced. Did you know I was actually sealed here in Konoha since the village was founded? I was first sealed in Mito Uzumaki Senju, wife of the Shodaime Hokage. I was used by Madara to attack Hashirama and she sealed me inside herself to save him, which is how he became the Shodaime Hokage. Later I was sealed in Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto birth mother, until the day Madara returned and used his Sharingan on me. When a Biju is released on the death of the Jinchuriki, unless we are immediately resealed, we turn on those who caused our Jinchuriki the pain and suffering they had. Every village that a Biju attack had it coming for their original sins. Thus someone would see our power and crave it, and a cycle would repeat until Kami champion would come and decide our fate. But because of free will, Kami had no way of controlling the future as she planned. There's an old saying, the best laid plans of men and gods. Choji said, why are you here now? Kitsu said, Bekwa's Kami wanted me sent back with Naruto. She wanted me sealed inside of him so he would live in pain and suffering. Not going to happen. Shinigami made me his godmother because I was inside his mum when he was conceived. Those whiskers on him show some part of me is a part of him. I'm here now to watch him and help him and make sure he doesn't die, and if he is killed, well, the person who killed him better pray they go to heaven. If that person goes to hell, well, you get the idea. Both boys paled and Kitsu said, anyways, you want to know what Sarutobi offered? His soul. His soul for Konoha. Naruto gives Konoha a chance to earn his respect, and if it doesn't, then Sarutobi's soul will go to hell when he dies. If it does, then Naruto will have Yami request his soul be sent to heaven. Shikamaru said, I see, what are your plans? Kitsu said, depends, either of you got plans for the night? I'm a horny teenage girl who wants to make a sandwich with me in the middle stuffed full of me. Both boys blew backwards with a nosebleed and Kitsu smirked and said, I'll get 'em when they're older. As she turned and left. On top of the Hokage monument, Naruto sighed as he got the memories from both his clones and thought, I like the sky, too bad Kami a grey cloud ruining it. Across town AI thought, where is he? I want to talk. Chapter 3. Shikamaru walked into his house that night and saw his mum sitting at the table looking down. She had a brand new dress on and had her hair in a different style and had even put on some makeup. Shikamaru frowned a moment and then again as he saw Yoshina look up when she heard the door open and then look back down when she saw it was Shikamaru, and he remembered Naruto's words and thought, troublesome. And said, you look nice, mum. Is dad home? Yoshina looked up smiling a little and said, thank you son, and no, your father's not home. I guess he must be out with Chusa and Inoki again. Shikamaru bit his lip and sniffed the air and said, Mum, how about you and me have a mother-son night together? I mean, I know it's troublesome, but we haven't had a chance to do something just the two of us in a while. Would you like that? Yoshina smiled and said, yes. I would like that very much, Shikamaru. Shikamaru said, all right mum, let me go change and wash up and then we can go into town. I love you mum. Yoshina said, and I love you also Shikamaru. You better hurry, it's not a good idea to keep a lady waiting son. Shikamaru nods and leaves the room, but before he got out of earshot he heard the sound of muffled sniffs coming from the table area and thought, Mum. I'm sorry I hadn't noticed. Thank you Naruto, you may be troublesome but you're alright. After getting washed up and changed, Shikamaru came back into the room where his mum was and he said, you ready mum? Yoshina nods with a smile on her face and she said, you know. I think this is the first time we've gone out like this since you were 5. Shikamaru felt a twinge of regret hearing this and said, I promise you mum. I'll make sure we do this more often. Now come on, we don't want to be late. Yoshina asked, late for what son? As she turned off the light to the house except the porch light and closed the door and stood there a moment as several thoughts went through her mind. Behind her in the front yard Shikamaru saw this and regret grew even more and thought, this is the first time I can ever remember where nobody's going to be here. Troublesome. As Shikamaru and Yoshina was walking toward the village, Kitsu came walking out of the woods not too far ahead of them and began to look around, and Yoshina seeing her and not recognizing her said, hello, can I help you miss? Kitsu turned and looked at Yoshina and then Shikamaru and she said, oh, excuse me. My name is Kitsu and I'm new to Konoha and I've seemed to have gotten lost. Hi Shika, how are you? Yoshina turned to Shikamaru and said, you know her son? Kitsu said, yes miss. I joined the academy today in his class. Are you his mother? Yoshina said, yes, my name is Yoshina Nara. Kitsu bowed slightly and said, it's an honor to meet you. Your mother is beautiful Shika. I can see why you're so cute. I bet girls fall for you all the time and ask you out for lunch for sandwiches or something. Yoshina saw Shikamaru blush and thought, my Shikamaru. I didn't know you had a crush. And Shikamaru thought, troublesome vixen. Yoshina said, you said you were lost Kitsu. Kitsu said, yes. I only arrived yesterday and got a place to stay, but I hadn't had much of a chance to look around town. I had walked into the woods because I like nature and got turned around. You wouldn't mind pointing me in the direction of town, would you Shika? Shika said, that way you troublesome vixen. As he pointed with his finger toward town. Kitsu said, thank you. It was nice meeting you Nara-sama and nice seeing you as well Shika-kun. As she turned and started to walk away when Yoshina said, wait. Making both Shikamaru and Kitsu turn to her, and Shikamaru thought, no, she wouldn't. Kitsu looked confused and said, oh, I'm sorry, is there some form of procedure here in your village or country before someone is allowed to be dismissed? If there is, I'm sorry for breaking tradition. Yoshina said, no, nothing like that. I was going to ask you if you would like to join me and my son for an evening together. Kitsu said, I wouldn't want to be a burden. I can't really afford to do much either until I can find some work or something to help support myself. Shikamaru said, isn't Naruto, the Sandime, or his family supporting you? I mean, I thought the way you all talk you wouldn't have a problem supporting yourself. Kitsu said, I'm probably the last of my clan Shika. Naruto and I told the entire class how I'm originally from the land of water and that they have a bloodline civil war going on there who hunted down those who were different like me. If Naruto had not saved me from him, then I would be locked away somewhere or in the afterlife. I don't have any money myself and Naruto just has the money on a couple of bounties he collected on our way here. The Sandime was kind enough to let us have an apartment since it's the least he owes Naruto, but other than that we have to provide for ourselves. Naruto family is all in the afterlife now and all he has of his home is what he has with him. Yoshina said, "Oh, you poor dear. You must have had a truly difficult life." Kitsu said, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but I'm resourceful and there is plenty of things growing in the woods that can be used for food so I won't go hungry and I have a place to stay and Naruto and I do have a little money right now and between him and I we can get everything that we need as long as we are courtiers with our spending, but enough about that. I've spent enough of your time so I should be going." As she turned again and Yoshina turned to Shikamaru and whispered in his ear and he paled and Yoshina glared at him and Shikamaru muttered, "Troublesome." Before he said, "Wait Kitsu, would you care to join us?" Kitsu asked, "Are you asking me on a date, Shika?" Shikamaru saw the look his mother gave him and said, "Yes." Kitsu said, Are you sure? I mean you and your mum were going somewhere." "I mean." Yoshina said, "We are actually going to meet my lazy-ass husband. We can make it a double date and my son here will pay for yours and his date so don't worry about it." Shikamaru saw Kitsu wink at him and he paled and Kitsu said, "Well, as long as you're sure. I mean I wouldn't want to be too troublesome." Yoshina smirked seeing the look on Shikamaru's face and said, "I got the feeling you're just the thing to get my lazy son here motivated. So come along and let's go meet that lazy-ass husband of mine." As she began to walk ahead and Kitsu hooked her arm around Shikamaru who muttered, "Troublesome vixen." Kitsu leaned over and whispered in his ear, "Be good to me and I'll be good to you Shika-kun," saying the last part seductively. Shikamaru stood up straighter hearing this as they entered the village. Yoshina led them to a bar she knew Shikaku went to and saw him sitting there with Inoki and Chooser and Yoshina huffed to herself and marched in and tapped Shikaku on the shoulder who turned and went wide-eyed seeing Yoshina standing there with her hands on her hips and said, "Come with me." Shikaku saw how she was dressed and asked, "What's going on?" Yoshina said, "We are having a double date. Shikamaru and his date are outside and you are coming with me." Shikaku said, "Troublesome woman." Yoshina hearing this became pissed and said, "Fine, you don't want to go then stay here and drink." Before she walked to the middle of the bar and said loudly, "Anyone in here interested in being my date for the night?" Shikaku spat out his drink and turned seeing Yoshina striking a sexy pose with one hand on her thigh and the other behind her head as she poked out her chest making her breast appear to be slightly bigger. Several men in the bar looked at her and a couple started to stand up not knowing who she was and Shikaku stood up quickly and said, "What are you doing?" "You're my wife." Yoshina said, "Am I?" as she glared at him. Shikaku said, "What has come over you Yoshina? Of course you are." Outside the bar Kitsu grabbed Shikamaru said, "Stop. Your mother has the right to vent her frustration. This isn't your fight, this is something your parents will have to deal with alone." Shikamaru said, "Let me go." Kitsu quickly pulled him into an ally and pushed him against the wall and kissed him shocking him as she used her hand to begin rubbing the front of his pants while casting an illusion over the ally. Inside the bar Yoshina said, "You want to know what came over me? I'll tell you what has came over me. For 15 years I have been your wife. I have cooked for you, cleaned for you, washed your clothes for you. Made sure you had everything packed for your missions, made sure that you had home-cooked food sealed in storage scrolls so you wouldn't have to eat rations, went to the store and got whatever you needed so you would have time to relax. I gave you a son, I made sure when you got home, no matter what time of the day or night that I was there with a warm meal to listen to any complaints or problems you had, ran your baths, rubs your sore muscles, catered to your friends, gave up everything I could to please you and make you happy, and for what? To sleep at night in a separate bed. To eat alone as you go out night after night drinking with your friends. How many times did you even change diapers on Shikamaru? I have done everything in my life I could for you and I don't even get a thank you or an I love you. All I am is a troublesome woman to you. I finally had enough of this Shikaku. I went to town today and got my hair done to look nice and got this dress so that when you came home tonight that you and I could have time together like we did when we were younger. I was going to ask Shikamaru to stay at Chooser Place tonight with Choji so when we got home we could push the beds together and make love like we used to when you actually loved me, but I see now that was all a dream, that I'm nothing more than a troublesome woman. You rather spend time with your friends and teammates than me, well you can stay with them. Sleep with them tonight. Tomorrow you can come by after 10 AM and get your shit and get out. I'll raise Shikamaru the rest of the way since I've done it all up till now anyways you good for nothing lazy bastard. Goodbye." As she turned and started to leave. Shikaku who was shocked as was everyone else in the bar quickly moved to grab Yoshina's arm to stop her when she turned and slapped him right across the face stopping him in his tracks and she said, "Don't touch me. You've had years to do it and you left me cold and alone. You've lost that right," as she turned and walked out of the bar. Outside of the bar Shikamaru was sitting on a bench with Kitsu laying her head on his shoulder and Yoshina saw this and felt a twinge of pain in her heart and she walked over and said, "Shikaku busy right now so we are going to have to cancel our date but I insist that you both continue your own. Here, use this son and both of you have fun, and son, treat her right and never let her forget how special she is." As she handed him some money and began to walk away. After she was gone, Shikamaru stood up as did Kitsu, and both began to walk away until they were on a hill outside of the village, and then the shadow that connected both together broke free and Shikamaru grunted as he fell to his knees exhausted and said, "You. What the hell did you do to me?" Kitsu said, "It's called a blowjob." As she smirked. Shikamaru glared at her and said, "That's not what I meant and you know it." Kitsu said, "And here I thought I did a pretty good job helping you relax earlier, fine. I'll tell you. I'm a kitsune. We are known as trickster in our abilities with genjutsu. Ever wonder why? It's because we are masters of seduction. As such, we have naturally adapted over the years and gained special abilities. It was because of my special ability that I gained that I became a kyubi. I informed you earlier about the fact that the biju absorbed the sins of those we were sealed in. Now think about this, how does a person get more chakra?" Shikamaru said, "By using chakra." Kitsu said, "And if Jinchuriki are always absorbing chakra from us while we are sealed in them?" Shikamaru thought a moment and his eyes went wide and said, "Over time when you are released you would be stronger than you were before you were sealed." Kitsu said, "Yes, but you see, Yami wanted those of us that were sent here to be biju to be able to get the most souls in the shortest amount of time, so she looked for those of us who would have an ability that would speed up the time between Jinchuriki. The Aikibi host can't sleep and becomes mentally unstable until he or she has to be put down and a new host has to be selected. Nibi hosts naturally have less endurance because they don't have much motivation. I see you're starting to get the idea. Me, the longer I am in contact with someone the more of their abilities I can make mine. I have your DNA inside of me now since I swallowed, so it's directly in contact with me." Shikamaru paled and Kitsu said, "I see you understand now, but the benefit won't last long. If I touch you for 10 minutes then I have half the time to use your powers. Your sperm will be out of my system by Wednesday, so by Friday I won't be able to use your abilities again unless of course you're willing to volunteer for some more fun." Shikamaru said, "I didn't volunteer the first time." Kitsu said, "True, but both Naruto-kun and I knew what was going to happen. We also knew that you would try to get involved and you would have been placed in a spot where both your parents would have wanted you to choose one over the other. Something that you wouldn't and couldn't do. Because of this I told Naruto that I would come and keep you out of it. Besides, this isn't a fight that you can do anything about. Your mum has been holding this in all her life and finally releasing it, and your dad needed this wake-up call. If he really loves your mum then he will do whatever it takes to show her. If not, should your mum suffer because your dad would rather drink and hang out with his teammates than the woman who he claims to love and gave him a son." Shikamaru grunted as he thought it over and said, "Where does Naruto win at this? I mean, besides taking a soul from Kami. Why get involved in my family's life?" Kitsu said, "Ever hear the old saying, monkey see, monkey do?" Shikamaru thought a moment and his eyes went wide and said, "He's using my parents to cause others to look at their relationship. Women will be inspired by my mother into standing up for themselves, and men will actually have to start looking at the women in their lives or lose them, and if they have been unfaithful then." Kitsu said, "Then their sins will be revealed which will then destroy their relationships, so the faithful ones will cheat since they have been cheated on, and society is brought down from status of nobility to third-rate romances, and the best part is, Naruto doesn't have to do shit other than comfort one woman who if she had been treated right would never have become what she is." Shikamaru frowned and said, "Why did you tell me all this? Why did Naruto tell me all he did?" Kitsu said, "Have you ever played Go with only one player?" Shikamaru looked down and thought a moment and his eyes widened again a moment before they narrowed and then widened again before narrowing and widening a third time and said, "But why me?" Kitsu smirked as she wrapped her arms around Shikamaru and said, "He looked into your eyes and judged your soul. He saw something that impressed him. What it is, I can't say since I don't know." Shikamaru sighed and said, "And where do you fit in?" Kitsu said, "I saw something in you that impressed me also. I noticed the trickster side of you. The one who is tricking everyone into think you're a lazy idiot when you're smarter than you let on. Life's not worth living if you don't experience, and I wish to experience life and new things, and I think you could help me with that. I'm going to manipulate you life around my finger like I did with your mum earlier. I just had to make you remember my comment about being a sandwich and you blushed, which made your mum think you liked me, so she would invite me to go with you so that way I could be in position to stop you from getting involved. I'm going to do things like that for the rest of the time I'm here or until you die. What do you think about that, boyfriend?" Shikamaru looked at her and thought, "Damn it, she's serious." And said, "Troublesome woman." Kitsu said, "Ah, but you will come to love me, after all. I was given a mortal body to come back to life and it's a virgin, so." Shikamaru blew back with a nosebleed as thoughts of what happened earlier and what she was speaking about entered his mind. Kitsu laughed but after a moment stopped and sniffed the air and began to look around and thought that was strange. That smelled almost like. As her eyes widened and thought, "Gabrielle, what are you doing here?" Chapter 4. Naruto was still laying on the Hokage monument looking at the night sky when Kitsu landed on the ground next to Naruto and said, "Kid, I think we got a problem." Naruto frowned and said, "What kind of problem?" Kitsu said, "I smelled someone earlier when I was playing with Shikamaru. It's Gabrielle." Naruto blinked and sat up onto his elbows and said, "As is Gabrielle, Gabrielle. Bitch's daughter Gabrielle." Kitsu nods and Naruto frowned and said, "What the fuck she's doing here? No one has died in the village today or tonight. Especially the noble ones. Kitsu said, I don't know, think she came here to give orders to the little angel. Naruto bit his lip and said, maybe. I need to go bust her ass some more, so I'll go check on her and see what's up there. You head around the village and see if you can't track her scent and see where she is, since I don't know her scent. Besides a noble soul dying, which hasn't happened, and me, I can't think of any reason she would be here. Sticking by the girl will make it easier for her to track me if she came looking for me, so we can find out what the hell she wants. Kitsu said, right. As she jumped away, Naruto stood up and dusted his pants off before heading toward the apartments. When Naruto got there, he walked up to room 316 and was about to knock when the sound of a crash was heard and a muffled scream of pain was heard through the door, and Naruto frowned before his eyes turned black, and he turned toward the door and saw a female figure standing in the middle of the room with another smaller figure slumped against the wall, and the taller one who was standing was drawing back her fist. Naruto frowned and disappeared from view. Inside the apartment, Ai was slumped against the wall with a busted lip, busted nose, as well as bruising around her cheek and eye, and she saw a punch coming from a woman with long brown hair in a white dress, but right before the punch hit, a hand appeared around the wrist of the woman's hand, shocking both Ai and the woman, who both turned, and the woman saw a person with blonde hair dressed in black looking out the window away from the woman. Ai also saw the person and thought, Naruto. The woman said, who are you and how dare you interfere in my business? Naruto said, such an unrefined and undisciplined woman to ignore proper decorum and demand a name without giving yours first. Still not looking at the woman or Ai. The woman said, release me, heathen, or I'll smite you. A snort was her answer, and Naruto turned his head around and his eyes were black, and he said, heathen, smite. You must be Gabrielle. Correct. Gabrielle said, you must be the boy Kami has been speaking about if you know who I am. Now release me, because you know you are far weaker than me. Naruto smirked and he squeezed harder on Gabrielle's wrist, and a snap sound was heard, causing Gabrielle to cry out as Naruto jerked his arm up, causing Gabrielle to lift off the ground before Naruto let go and delivered a standing side kick right into Gabrielle's stomach, sending her flying back into the wall behind her several feet away. Naruto said, you know, I know now why you're in heaven. It's because you're so stupid, because your head is full of hot air. The fact I caught you off guard when I grabbed your wrist should have alerted you that something was wrong. Gabrielle held her broke wrist against her stomach and she said, how dare why? She was silenced as Naruto disappeared, and the next moment she found herself slammed against the wall with Naruto holding her by her neck with one hand, choking her. Gabrielle gasped for breath as her face began to change color, and Naruto said, it's not so fun being on the receiving end of a beatdown, is it, Gabrielle? Now why don't you tell me what the fuck you were doing here before I decided to end your life? And in case you haven't realized it yet, you're not in mortal form right now. You're in spirit form, and I am still able to hurt you. If I decide to kill you, game over, you die. Now why are you here, bitch? As he squeezed harder. A weak voice behind Naruto said, please stop, she's my mother. Naruto, who heard Ai voice, went wide-eyed a moment, and he turned to look at Ai, who had her head bowed, and he then looked back at Gabrielle and he asked, is this true? As he let go slightly of Gabrielle's neck. Gabrielle, who was gasping for breath, said, that weakling is nothing but a disgrace I was forced to give birth to. She is no daughter of mine. Kami ordered me to have her to be a reward for you as part of her grand plan. I only have one child, and that is Michael. Naruto frowned as he glanced at Ai, who was looking down and then back at Gabrielle, and Naruto sent chakra into his hand around Gabrielle's neck, who began to gurgle because she couldn't scream, and Naruto said, what you are feeling, bitch, is fire chakra, which is burning your voice box. Since you want to act like a bitch, now you will speak like a bitch for the rest of your days. Now go before I decide to kill you. As he threw Gabrielle's body through the window behind him. As Gabrielle lands on the street below, Kitsu was sitting nearby and threw a banana peel on Gabrielle's head and said, I would take the kid's advice before he kills you. Shinigami trained him to be her equal, and in most ways he is, in soul attacks he's surpassed her. Gabrielle said, this isn't over. Kitsu looked to her right and said, for now it is. Gabrielle followed Kitsu's eyes and went wide eyes before she disappeared. The figure Kitsu and Gabrielle saw mouthed the words, thank you, to Kitsu before being pulled into the ground by a skeleton hand. Kitsu got up and walked into the building and walked into apartment 319 and saw Ai sitting in a chair, and Naruto walked in out of the kitchen with an ice pack and said, so, are you going to tell us what that was about? You owe me your life. Ai, who had looked down holding the ice pack, was silent for a few moments when she said in a dead tone, you have probably asked if Kami had such grand plans for you, then why wasn't she there to make sure everything went according to plan? The reason is she knew the life you would live and knew, being a Jinchuriki, that you would automatically get a free pass to heaven. She decided before you were born that you would have in death the one thing you most likely never would have in life. Love. To do this she ordered her daughter Gabrielle to have a female child, me. When Kami received words that your parents had arrived in heaven, she had my mother begin having me. I was supposed to be linked to you so that when you slept I could be in your dreams, at first as a friend when no one else would have been, and then later after you died, your wife, but when mother came to the mortal world to bind my spirit to yours she couldn't find you. Kami began to search for you and left me with mother. Mother hated me because she didn't want me, and as time passed on and the longer time went, the more her hatred of me and the reminder of the pain she had to go through to have me and all she sacrificed to do so made her even more angry at me. Naruto frowned and said, so her beating on you is common? Ai said, usually she acts like I don't even exist. Kitsu asked, then why did she come and attack you tonight? AI bit her lip and Naruto said, answer. AI flinched and said, I overheard Mother when she came back from meeting Kami. Mother was telling Michael, my brother, to do something about you, but when I heard your name I had to come find you. I spent my whole life thinking about you and thinking if I could meet you then I could become your friend and later your wife, so that way the reason I was born would be fulfilled and Mother wouldn't hate me anymore. As she broke into tears and said, but she doesn't care, she told me I wasn't going to get happiness when she lost her own, she told me that she didn't care what Kami planned anymore and that she was going to send me to limbo so she wouldn't have to see my face again since I gave up my immortality to come here and be with you. Naruto frowned and said, so you're not here to keep my mother away from me? AI wiped tears from her face and said, no, why would I do that after I saw how angry and sad you were over that? If I could I would let you see her whenever you wanted to. Is that why you don't like me? Because you thought that I was sent here to keep you from your mother? Naruto sighed and leaned against the wall and said, Kami told Yami she was sending one of her angels to make sure Mum didn't show up and take me back to hell before I died. Since you were the only angel we detected then I assumed it was you. AI looked down and said, you had the right to, you're the victim. You've had everything taken from you. Naruto, who had crossed his arms, shook his head and said, no, I'm a vengeful son of a bitch. I'm also one of the most respected people in hell because I changed it. When I was growing up I saw as those who were there were tied to chains that were connected to poles that would lower them into fields of fire and burn them before they would be raised back up to heal, and then once they healed some they would be sent back down into the fires. I remember what it was like to be burned alive and I screamed and begged Grandma to change their punishment. At first she refused, but then she made me a deal. She had me listen as a prisoner was brought in and his sins were told. She then had me decide his punishment. He was a rapist. I thought about his crimes and decided the best punishment was to make him feel what his victims felt, so I had some of the goblins take him to a room and use tools to do to him what he done to his victims. Everything he ever did to a victim was done to him in a day. Then he would be left alone in a dark room until the next day when it was repeated again and then again and again. Those hours that he spent in the dark made him live the life that his victims had, always looking around in fear, always waiting for the torture to begin. Grandma Yami saw this and thought the punishment fit the crime, and so she slowly had those who were already there for the same crimes taken to the room one by one, and as the Tower of Torture as it came to be called was built, the prisoners would be randomly chosen to experience all the tortures, not just the rapist but also those who took pleasure out of hurting others physically. They would then be put in a cell alone with no light, always fearing that someone would come and get them to torture them again and again. AI asked, but why are you respected for that? Kitsu said, because not everyone in hell is evil. There are races living in hell that once lived in the mortal realm who are not evil, but humans thought they were evil because they weren't human. Kitsunes like me are among those races. Goblins, trolls, ogres, dragons, and others who live there and serve Yami in exchange for living there. They saw the changes that Naruto made and they respected him because hell isn't all fire and brimstone anymore. True, there are some places, but for those of us who live there who aren't prisoners, life has changed for the better. The pit of emo, the tower of torture, the pit of endurance, the house of lies. All. AI asked, the house of lies, what's that? Interrupting her. Naruto chuckled and said, I got the idea from a couple of hobbits who were boasting about something at a bar. What happens is the prisoners go up on stage with a collar that forces them to tell lies, and they have to tell lies about one of the lies they're in hell for, and the audience has to try and guess what the real lie the guy on stage is lying about. They aren't allowed to leave the stage or quit talking until either someone guesses the real lie or they lose their voice, and they are not allowed to drink any water the whole time they are talking. There's an old saying, don't let your mouth write a check your ass can't cash. The house of lies is where those who did that while here are punished for it and have to pay their debt. AI asked, and the pit of emo? Kitsu said, oh, I love that place. The pit of emo is where those who pity themselves, usually those who wind up killing themselves, are sent. They are all put in the pit where they try to get other emo to try and feel guilty for them after having their hair dyed black and their nails painted purple. There is no real reason to torture them because they torture themselves. Naruto said, but something you learn is those who are sent to hell are not usually sent to hell for one sin. One sin leads to another which leads to another. Take this one guy that was being punished when Kami showed up. He was there for murder and rape, but he didn't start killing and raping until he spent years of self-torture and attempted suicides, believing he had nothing to live for but kept being saved by those who cared for him. Later in life he still felt he had nothing to live for, so he decided he might as well have some pleasure and raped a woman, and after he did he realized he did have something to live for and had to kill her to keep from going to jail, and after he did that he punished himself again, thinking he had nothing to live for again because when people found out about his crimes he would lose what he had, so he raped and murdered again, and the cycle repeated over and over again until his death. Yami sent him to the pit of emo to have his hair and nails done. Then he is going to feel guilty for himself. The next day, since he used power to capture the women and hurt them, he is taken to the pit of endurance where him and all the other prisoners who were sent there for using power to hurt others and be beat on by each other trying to win the prize of an all-you-can-eat meal, an hour in a hot spring and a night in a hotel bed. After the guy lost in the pit of endurance, he was taken to the Tower of Terror and tortured like he did to the women and locked up in a cell until he recovers, and then put back in the pit of emo where nobody will pity him because they are too busy pitying themselves before he gets sent back to the pit of endurance and then back to the Tower of Terror again. He will eventually realize the only chance he has to break the cycle is to win at the pit of endurance, but since he goes so long between times he's there, then he won't ever actually get stronger, even though he will try to train himself while in the darkness. But once he loses again in the pit of endurance and taken to the Tower of Terror in his weakened state and can't fight back, he pity himself even more for being so weak. AI was wide-eyed and said, "And you came up with this?" Naruto nods and AI said, "Wow. That's actually pretty brilliant." Naruto said, "Yeah, it was my plan to do something like that to you also. I mean, when I thought that you were the one sent here to keep my mum away, I was going to make your life hell until you either broke down and let me have my mum in my life or gave up and left where I could have mum again." Kitsu said, "There is a method to his madness." AI frowned and said, "So what now? Are you still going to keep hating me?" Naruto sighed and said, "No. I have no reason to hate you now. Well, I do, because your Kami granddaughter who only wanted me in her life to use me, and I am tempted to turn around and use you and leave you just to smite you. Hee, angels need a bigger vocabulary. Heathen, smite, hee. AI looked down and said, Are you going to use me and leave me?" Naruto looked at her and said, "No. I may be a cold, sadistic, vengeful son of a bitch, but I care too much for myself and fear too much what my mother and grandmother would do to me if I ever did that to a woman. They don't care if I fuck as long as it's with consent of both parties. I only fuck those I care about. I may feel guilty for what I did to you when you were innocent, and since I saw you had no food, money, cloths, or furniture, I'll even let you stay here as long as you don't cause me a reason to hate you, as well as you tell me about your brother Michael." AI asked, "Why do you want to know about Michael?" Naruto said, "Your mum talked about me to him cause she wanted me to do something. Kami told her about me. Gabrielle sending Michael here to keep my mum away to make Kami happy. She will also probably use him to try and get revenge on you and me for what I did back there." AI looked down and Naruto put his hand under her chin and raised her head and said, "Never say you're sorry, never look down. Both are a sign of weakness that others will use against you." AI opened her mouth and Naruto covered it and said, "What did I just tell you?" AI bit her lip and nods, and Naruto said, "Well, it's late and you're tired from what happened and need to think straight to answer my question. You can tell me about Michael later. I'm going to get some sleep. You can have the couch." As he turned and left, Kitsu walked in front of AI and said, "Angel, listen and listen well. The kid may be acting nice, but he doesn't like you. He needs you to learn about his enemy. You are going to be useful to him, or he'll make you useful in another way. He may not do anything to you, but he'll sell your ass for money as a slave if you don't pull your weight. Do I make myself clear?" AI nods, scared of the look in Kitsu's eyes, and Kitsu said, "Good night," as she turned and closed the second bedroom door, leaving a scared and shaken AI behind. Chapter 5, Why I Drink Coffee. The next morning AI slowly opened her eyes and blinked as she saw Naruto standing over her with his hand above her body and said, "I see you're awake, don't move, I'm almost done healing the bruises." As his hand started glowing, AI asked, "Why are you helping me?" Naruto said, "Someone should only have to pay for their own sins, not the sins of others. If you went to the academy with these bruising on you, everyone would assume that I was the one who did this to you because of the way I acted toward you yesterday. Besides, a woman's beauty shouldn't be ruined by anything other than a lifetime of joy and happiness." As his hand stopped glowing and he got up off his knees and walked toward the kitchen and said, "Bathroom over there, go get cleaned up. After that we will take you to get some cloths so you don't have to wash your cloths every day, and then get some breakfast for all three of us." Kitsu said she would meet us downstairs. AI nods and got up off the couch and headed toward the bathroom. After taking a quick shower, AI came out of the bathroom and Naruto asked, "Coffee?" AI said, "No thank you, you drink coffee. Aren't you a little young?" Naruto got an amused look on his face and said, "My mother called me an unlimited ball of energy of apocalyptic proportions. Coffee actually tires me out, so I'm not bouncing off the walls. If I could burn off my energy with exercise or something, then I wouldn't need this, but if not, then I'll have a short fuse and get into trouble. This village isn't big enough to handle me when I have a short fuse." AI asked, "Why is that?" Naruto smirked and said, "Remember my genjutsu I placed on you when the ANBU showed up? What I did in that genjutsu was nothing compared to me with a short fuse. I'm actually forbidden from entering the pit of endurance when I have a short fuse. Grandma Yami called my actions worse than anything else that could be done to them those few times I have entered there in the past with one, so ready to go." AI nods, and to her surprise Naruto offered his arm to her and she blinked, and Naruto said, "I'm a vengeful son of a bitch, but I am also a gentleman," with a smirk on his face. AI blushed slightly and said, "Thank you," as she hooked her arm with his. Naruto opened the door and they left the apartment. When they made it to the street, AI saw Kitsu and Shikamaru, who was glaring at Kitsu, and Naruto said, "Morning." Shikamaru raised an eyebrow when he saw Naruto holding arms with AI and said, "It's the end of the world, isn't it?" Naruto's sweet dropped and Kitsu said, "Be nice, Shika." Kid here realized that AI isn't who he thought she was, so he said he's sorry and he's making up for treating her wrong. Besides, the world's not supposed to end unless Kid lets Madara win. So where is the best places to go cloth shopping, Shika? AI and I need a couple of new outfits. And just then an ANBU appeared, causing all four teenagers to look surprised, and Shikamaru said, "Troublesome." The ANBU said, "Naruto Namikas, the council has requested your presence." Kitsu paled and said, "Oh fuck me, we're screwed. You might have been right the first time, Shika. It is the end of the world. AI, please tell me he had some coffee before you left the apartment. As she looked at AI with a pleading look. AI, who was confused as everyone else but Naruto, said, yeah, he did. Why? Kitsu let out a breath she was holding and said, then there is a chance the world won't end today. Naruto said, I'm not that bad. Kitsu looked at him for a moment as a few memories came to her mind and said, you're worse than any woman in the entire history of the world ever. When they had the worst case of PMS. The last time anyone ever let you enter a council meeting, you wound up bending every one of them over your knee. Tattoo property of Naruto across both their ass cheeks with a red-hot poker, used a senbon needle to connect both balls of every male in the room together, bent every woman forward with a dildo superglued in their mouth and chained them where the dildo in their mouth was fucking their own asshole with nipple clips on their breast that sang, it's a small world after all. Naruto looked at her and said, your point. Kitsu slapped her forehead while everyone else looked shocked and she said, please tell me you don't have that scroll with you. Naruto smirked and said, Kitsu. I got all my scrolls and the things sealed inside of them. Kitsu sighed and said, ANBU, I know the council only requested his presences, but would you mind if Shika here escorted us and him to the council chamber? I may be new here, but since you call him by his birth name, you should realize the council will either try to suck up to him to gain favor with him or will try to boss him around. His family was in charge of a prison. He was basically head of security there. He doesn't take orders, he gives them. The only reason he is here and not with his adopted family is because some politician decided to be greedy and ordered the release of some people contained there. When his family refused to release the prisoners, Naruto's mother was arrested by the politician and they were forced to release the prisoners or his mother would have been taken from him permanently. You take him to this meeting and you're going to be without a few council members when the meeting is over unless you have someone who will calm him down there. I can't guarantee he will listen to me, but he might. Before the ANBU could answer, the sound of something being unsealed was heard and the ANBU turned and paled as he saw a 2-foot-long 4-inch thick dildo in Naruto's hand along with a box of senbon needles in the other. The ANBU said, I'll inform the council that you are on your way, but Namikaze-sama was in the shower and had to get dressed first. Nara-san, would you escort him to the council chambers? Shikamaru said, troublesome. Before he nods. The ANBU shushed away and Shikamaru said, that wasn't true, was it? As the group began to walk toward the council chambers. Naruto said, hell doesn't have a council. Each of the non-humans races that live there have one leader who comes before Yami if they need anything. AI said, thank Kami, you scared me a little, but why did you have those items, Naruto? Kistu said, those are used on council members who are sent to hell for causing others pain and suffering so they can live comfortably. The Hall of Council is a building where council members are sent. Naruto made it where every new council member that goes there think they actually still have some power to decide things even in death. The council members try to steal more power for themselves from the Grand Elder who is the leader of the council. When one member actually is able to sneak some power for himself, he is automatically made into the new Grand Elder, while the old Grand Elder has the torture I mentioned done to them as punishment for failing to stay in power before they are re-entered into the Hall of Council as a now powerless member who will try to steal power back for himself so he can make the person who forced him through that torture can pay. Of course, anytime a council member loses all their so-called power, they are put through the torture again. Naruto said, we have 216 Grand Elder every day on average and about 200,000 council members every day who lost all their so-called power. Basically they screwed others over in life with the help of other council members. In hell they get screwed by other council members. Shikamaru said, troublesome. You scare me, Naruto, you really do. As the group arrived at the Hokage Tower where the council chambers was located on the second floor. Naruto said, sometimes Shikamaru, I scare myself. Kitsu said, yeah, he freaks out when. Just then Naruto's stomach growled and Naruto jumped involuntarily and Kitsu burst out laughing and said, oh, how ironic. The one thing you're most scared in is the monster you call a stomach. Causing Kitsu and Shikamaru to cover their mouths to keep from laughing. Naruto face blushed and said, considering my stomach's big enough to hold you in your bigger form, there's no telling what kind of creature crawled up in there after you were freed. Kitsu said, especially with the ladies you sleep with. Naruto glared at Kitsu and said, that was a low blow, Kitsu. You know that the most I've ever done with any woman is given them a sensual massage. I never would go past that because just like I can't feel any pain, I also can't feel any pleasure of the flesh. Shikamaru said, that's something that I wanted to ask. Can't your family just heal the damage you received? I thought that. Kitsu sighed and said, Shika. Kami and Yami are sisters, their powers all split between them. Kami has the ability to heal the flesh while Yami has the ability to heal the spirit. That is why Kami made heaven a place to please the spirit and Kami made hell a place to torture the flesh. Kid could be healed, but to do so he would have to go to Kami and beg her to heal him, and he won't beg anyone or bow to anyone unless he is in the wrong, and it is Kami who is wrong about this because she has forgotten what is most important. Shikamaru got a confused look on his face and Naruto said, the only way to get into heaven is to suffer through hardships while alive as a mortal. The only way to get sent to hell is to take pleasure of the spirit out of the suffering of others. Kami has the ability to heal those who have suffered in the flesh while Yami has the ability to heal those who have suffered in the spirit, but Kami has gotten so wrapped up in the bed that was made and cares and has forgotten that every soul is important. The needs of the many do not outweigh the needs of the few. Every soul is just as valuable as the next. Shikamaru got a thoughtful look on his face and said, what happens to those who have suffered in both spirit and body and taken pleasure in the spirit and body? What happens to those? Naruto stopped in front of the door that read council chambers and looked at Shikamaru and said, they are considered a neutral when they die and are eventually reborn again. All sins or suffering they experienced in their last life is healed and forgotten. Personally, I think that is actually the greatest gift that Yami or Kami could give someone. After all, wounds of the flesh heal over time and too much pleasure make one arrogant. Gabriel is a perfect example of that. AI looked down and Shikamaru saw this, and AI, who saw the questioning look on his face, said, my mother. Before anything could be said, Naruto grabbed the handle to the door and opened it. Chapter 6. The Council of Konoha was made up of the heads of each of the clans of Konoha, the Hokage, the 2 elder advisors, the ANBU commander, the Junin representative, the Chunin representative, the Genin representative, the head of the academy, the head of the library, the director of the hospital, the director of parks and recreation, the bank president, the 6 representatives of the 6 civilian sectors of Konoha, the head of the merchant guild, and the 5 members of the business guilds of Konoha. When Naruto opened the door and walked in followed by Kitsu, AI, and Shikamaru, all talk in the room stopped and Hiruzen said, what is the meaning of this interruption? In a commanding tone until he saw Naruto and his voice quieted down considerably. Naruto pointed to the council and said, ask him. Some ANBU said to come here at the request of the council about 15 minutes ago, but I was busy taking a shower, so Shikamaru here agreed to guide us here. Hiruzen shot a look at Koharu and Homaru, who said, we requested the Yondaime son to come before us so that we may welcome him back to Konoha and to learn about where he has been all these years and why he has not returned before now, as well as try to gather information from him around the events of his birth and to question his. Naruto interrupted her and said, yeah, about that, I don't answer to you. A civilian council member said, how dare you? The next moment the civilian council member who was speaking began to gasp for breath as Naruto, who was more than 20 feet away from the choking man, had his hand raised in the air like he was choking something, and he said, I find your lack of respect to me disturbing. As he lowered his hand. At that moment Naruto had scared the shit out of most of the people in the room, and Naruto said, I am only in this village due to a contract I have made with Hiruzen Sarutobi. I do not answer to anyone in this room, including Hiruzen. Hiruzen, I warned you. If I am summoned for something, it had better be important and directly to the point, or you will have 1 month penalty. You realize that because of these people in this room you now will have your soul taken from you by me an entire month early. At this everyone in the room went wide-eyed except Kitsu, and Homaru turned to Hiruzen and said, what is he talking about, Hiruzen? Hiruzen frowned and said, it's true, because I abandoned him while he was being burned alive at the feet of the Kyuubi and the man who murdered his parents in order to return to Konoha to prepare it for Kyuubi's attack. I feel I owe him, so I made a deal with him. If he would give Konoha a chance to prove it was worth saving as his parents who were originally going to sacrifice him to a life as a Jinchuriki believed, and I believed enough to abandon him, then I would give him something he could actually use, the price. Give Konoha a chance in exchange for my soul. AI eyes widened and thought, he's not serious, is he? Hayashi said, forgive me Hokage-sama, but your soul, how can your soul be of use to him, and how can you so casually talk about giving something that can't be seen, touched or felt? Naruto began to chuckle as he raised his foot and stomped the ground, and to everyone's shock a wooden throne room chair rose out of the ground, followed by 3 smaller ones, all on a platform that Naruto sat down in, making him sit higher than everyone else in the room. Danzo said, Mokuden, how? In a shocked voice. Naruto said, the stupidity of these lands brings me much humor. Causing several people to glare at him. A civilian said in a demanding voice, how can you use the bloodline of the Shodaime Hokage, and how dare you threaten to take the Hokage's soul, you. Duh. He was instantly silenced by Kitsu appearing behind him with a claw finger against his neck, and Kitsu said, you will watch what you say to His Highness, or I will make the next breath your last. As she unleashed some ki. Naruto, whose face was neutral, said, enough Kitsu. Kitsu let go of the man who grabbed his neck while gasping for breath, and Kitsu bowed and said, forgive me, your highness. Naruto said, return to your seat and be silent. AI, you as well. Hiruzen, you will elect 2 members of this council to speak for the entirety of this council. The rest will remain silent or I'll kill them. You already know I can, since I had you and an entire squad of ANBU along with Ibiki in a sure death position during our first encounter. I've also demonstrated that I can kill at long range, and those are only the skills I chose to demonstrate. Any attempt to bring in your rude members Danzo, and I'll summon all 3 of my boss summons to destroy this village. Crit, the Bone Dragon, Cerberus, the 3-headed Hound of Hell, and the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Everyone in the room paled, and AI started to say something when Naruto shot her a glare, stopping her. Hiruzen said in a pleading voice, please don't, Naruto, I'm sorry the council summoned you and I take full responsibility for their actions and will accept any punishment you decide personally, but do not destroy this village because of the actions of a few idiots. Do not make the innocent pay for the crimes of the guilty. A civilian said in a shocked voice, Hokage-sama, why are you? The next moment the ground in front of the civilian broke apart, and to everyone's shock Aoi Rokushu appeared made out of wood, and he grabbed the council member by the neck, and Naruto said, last warning. Only the 2 people Hiruzen chooses will be allowed to speak, and Hiruzen is not one of the 2 since his soul belongs to me. Pick wisely. Hiruzen frowned and said, Shikaku and Danzo. shocking everyone, especially the elders. Naruto nods and a table made out of wood appeared in front of Naruto and two chairs appeared facing Naruto on the opposite side of the table and said, "Will the two chosen members please come down so we can get down to business?" Danzo frowned and said, "Why should I?" Naruto looked at him and said, "From what I hear you always wanted to be Hokage and prove your worth after you chickened out when the Nadame asked who would stay back to save the others. This is your chance. The fate of your village rests on yours and Shikaku's shoulders. If Konoha fails to meet Hiruzen expectations he will die in a few short months and Konoha will need a new leader. This could be just what you need to prove you are not just a military leader but a diplomatic one as well." Danzo pursed his lips and got up and moved to the table where Shikaku already was and Naruto said, "Don't insult me, Shikaku. Your shadow jutsu won't work on me. See for yourself." As the shadow that Shikaku had sent under the table toward Naruto suddenly withdrew, shocking Shikamaru and Shikaku. Shikaku made eye contact with Shikamaru and Naruto said, "This is a diplomatic meeting, Nara. No harm will come to your son or anyone else here as long as this meeting is civil." Shikaku said, "And how can I trust you?" Naruto said, "How can you trust the man beside you or anyone else for that matter? It's either you choose to or choose not to, but either way you have to choose one, you have no other choice." Danzo's face quickly went neutral and said, "You should mind your words, boy." Naruto said, "And you should know not to insult someone who is stronger than you and has you trapped. Now be silent and I will tell you a little about myself, the Kyuubi, and why I would want Hiruzen's soul and why I am really here." Naruto's eyes turned black and everything in the room disappeared and everyone found themselves on a cliff overlooking a lava field and Naruto said, "This is my homeland, a forsaken land that is beyond any map in the elemental nations. This land was chosen to some as a sanctuary and to others as a prison. It is also the home of all the ancient races of our world. All the species of creatures that are older than humans, elves, orcs, dragons, kitsunes, goblins, gremlins, zombies and countless others. The true name for these lands have long been forgotten or can't be spoken in the human tongue but to most call it hell." The scene changed and a black castle appeared on top of a mountain and Naruto said, "Castle Lore, home of the royal family of hell. My grandmother's castle." The scene changed again and everyone saw a beautiful woman sitting on a throne and another beautiful woman standing beside the woman on the throne and Naruto said, "My mother and grandmother. The day I was born, the day of the Kyuubi attack here in Konoha, my mother there was in the elemental nations to capture someone who had escaped from hell. After the Sandaime abandoned me while on fire she was the one who captured the Kyuubi and she was the one who put the fires out and cut her own flesh from her body and put it on me while also giving me her blood and chakra in order to save my life. She then took me with her and raised me as her own child and presented me to my grandmother and the other ancient races who accepted me as her son." Naruto's eyes reverted back to normal and everyone found themselves back in the council chambers and said, "In my land what you call chakra is nothing more the weak watered-down versions of something much more powerful." Naruto looked at Danzo and said, "Anyone from my homeland can stop every elemental jutsu anyone in the elemental nations can do or reverse them back on the person who used them. In my lands the knowledge on how to do that is as common as using chakra is here." Shikaku said, "Do you have any proof?" Naruto said, "Besides the fact I just used Mokuden to make this throne, to control of your bloodline and was able to break it, was able to make the air around that civilian so thick that breathing became impossible. I could show every element if I wanted to but the demonstrations I have shown should be proof enough, proof that you and your village should be worried about, especially now that the people of Konoha know that I was born here and no doubt word is spreading to neighboring villages and countries. My enemies that caused me to come here in the first place could bring Kami's wrath on you just to smite me for being such a heathen in their eyes, especially since one has already been here and attacked AI here just last night in her apartment since the landlord of my apartment building has not fixed the number 9 on my door and the person who attacked AI had someone spy on me and discovered the number on my door was 316 since the 6 which is actually a 9 upside down but AI lived in 316 and was attacked thinking she was with me." Kitsu covered her mouth to hide her lips to keep from her reaction from being seen. Danzo said, "Is this true, girl? Were you attacked last night?" AI nods and Danzo asked, "Who attacked you?" Naruto said, "Her name is Gabrielle, my black-hearted second cousin. You heard how Kitsu referred to me as your highness. The reason is to most of the civilized ancient races of hell I am the rightful heir to hell. My great-aunt and my grandmother are sisters but my grandmother is the ruler of hell. Gabrielle and her mother do not want me in hell. That is why Gabrielle's mother took my mother hostage. She ordered my grandmother to banish me from hell for as long as I live in this world or else my mother would be destroyed. A war is coming. Both my grandmother and her sister have been at each other's throats for years now for control. The reason I was banished is because as long as I was in hell I was stopping my great-aunt's plans. The reason I'm here is to get stronger and build me an army to fight against my great-aunt and her forces." AI had her mouth wide open as she looked at Naruto in shock and thought, "I can't believe this, he's telling the truth and yet lying at the same time. How is that possible? I can't even call him on lying because he's telling the truth." Shikaku said, "So you originally came to Konoha looking for allies?" In a questioning tone. Naruto said, "No, I originally came to Konoha because I was helping Ibiki track down the ragen that had been stolen by AI on the promise of a bed to sleep for the night and a beer to drink. After that I was planning to leave and continue to walk around the elemental nations looking for criminals to use for my army or for people who could help me train to get stronger." Danzo asked, "Why criminals?" Naruto looked toward the wooden body of Aoi and said, "You see that man there? When I defeated him before I killed him, I enslaved his soul. What I did earlier was call his soul back and stuck it in the wood of the floor, which is why he has a wood body. I can stick his soul in anything from water, lightning, fire, ice, dirt or even air, and he will follow my orders until I release his soul when I no longer need it. By targeting criminals, I not only help protect the innocent, I can defeat the criminals and take their souls so they will fight for me, gain the support of those I protect who can either help me with supplies I need to live, places to sleep, money, or information on other targets I could go after. I was thinking about offering Konoha a deal that would not only make Konoha stronger but richer as well in exchange for helping me, but that was before some loudmouth idiots started acting like they had power over me. No one has power over me, which is why I am going to fight my way back to hell and rejoin my mother and grandmother after stopping everything my great aunt and cousin throws at me. I'll smite 'em heathens." Ai shot Naruto a glare and thought, why does he have to keep making fun of the way we talk? Shikaku asked, "What is this deal you are offering?" Naruto said, "Considering, not offering. All the good feelings that I had started to feel about Konoha from Choji, Shikamaru, Anko, and your lovely wife Yoshina have been destroyed by the arrogance of those in this room." Shikaku said in a shocked tone, "My wife?" Naruto said, "Yes. Kitsu here told me that your wife and son helped her when she got lost last night and that your wife was looking forward to an evening on a double date to not only welcome Kitsu to Konoha but also to spend some time together since Shikamaru will be graduating soon and will begin taking missions, so family time will become a thing of the past. Kitsu also informed me that you were unfortunately busy with important business with other clan heads, so your wife had to back out, but Shikamaru was kind-enough to take Kitsu stargazing after having a little snack and something to wash it down the throat." Shikamaru turned bright red and Kitsu said, "Ah, you're blushing, Shika-kun. Remembering that special moment we had last night. Saying special sensually." Naruto said, "Kitsu, behave." Danzo coughed to break everyone from their wild imagination and thoughts and asked, "And how did Anko help improve things toward Konoha for you?" Naruto said, "Well, when I first got to Konoha when I was just planning on leaving right after I helped recover the Nadame's sword, Ibiki was busy reporting to Hiruzen about the recovery and I had met Anko at the dango stand and she was kind enough to buy me and Kitsu some dango. In exchange for that I destroyed that curse seal she had on her shoulder before I started to leave and was stopped by ANBU because Hiruzen wanted to speak to me about who he believed my parents were since he had acquired a sample of my blood which unlocked a scroll wrote by Minato." Danzo eyes widened and said, "How did you destroy the curse seal?" Naruto shrugged and said, "You know, when I said chakra was a watered-down version of something else I meant it. Chakra is a combination of physical energy and spiritual energy. The only actual spiritual energy you have in your body is your soul. The strength of your soul is determined by your willpower. When you use your hand signs and jutsu to form an attack, you are forcing your soul to attack. That is why your attacks are so weak compared to those in hell. That is also why I said anyone in hell could counter your jutsu, because they can force their souls into the attack you created and overpower your soul in the attack and take control of it from you, because the people in hell have learned to coexist with their souls instead of fighting against them. Take Hitaki Kakashi as an example." Shikaku said, "What about Kakashi?" Naruto said, "He has a Sharingan eye that was transplanted, but he can't use it as easy as an Uchiha could. The reason he can't is because a piece of the Uchiha's soul still exists in that eye, and when Kakashi is trying to use it he is fighting the soul in the eye. If he destroys the soul in the eye, the Sharingan will quit working. However, if he was taught how to merge his soul with the piece of the Uchiha soul still in that eye, not only would he be able to use the Sharingan eye like an Uchiha, he would also have a small chance of one of his children possessing the Sharingan depending on how much of the Uchiha soul there is in that eye. Orochimaru has actually figured this out on his own from what I can tell." Danzo, who was shocked, said, "What do you mean?" Naruto said, "The curse seal on Anko I destroyed had a small piece of Orochimaru's soul in it. Every time someone has those seals on them and uses them, Orochimaru's soul fragment merges with the soul of his victim and begins trying to take over the body." Shikaku said, "How can you be sure what Orochimaru's seal does?" Naruto said, "Because I've fought a couple of Lich Kings before along with a couple of necromancers. Both create armies of followers with similar methods to that of Orochimaru. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Orochimaru actually trained under a Lich King. He wouldn't be the first in these lands who has trained under a Dark Lord. Hidden of Hot Spring Village was trained under Jashin, a weaker Dark Lord." Danzo asked, "We are getting off track here. What exactly would Konoha gain if we were to work up a treaty with you?" Naruto put his hand to his lips and said, "I've had some time to read up things I felt would help me locate powerful souls to help me. One such thing was something you call the Chunin exams. When a village hosts these exams, the host village economy grows, as does the amount of tourists that village has." "Correct." Shikaku said, "Yes." Naruto nods and said, "Now another thing, your village runs a prison somewhere that has many prisoners that you have to pay security to guard, building upkeep expenses, food for the guards and prisoners. It all seems like a huge debt on your village that continues to grow with each new prisoner." "Correct." Neither Danzo or Shikaku said anything to that, and Naruto said, "I'll take that as a yes. Anyways, since according to the history book I read it seems that you have had several years of peace and prosperity, there is an old saying, peace dulls a blade with time. I'm sure those who have fighting experience know what I am referring to. I assume that your village has a way to make sure your ninja's skills do not dull over time, but odds are it is inefficient and very costly." Naruto looked up at the roof and said, in my homeland, as I told you, there are many different species of creatures who live there. In our prison there we have had to house many different creatures who have blood feuds older than the Uchiha Senju blood feud I read about. Prisoners die all the time, which could cause a massive prison riot and civil war, except we created a seal that makes it where anyone who dies in the prison will have their soul pulled to a secure room instead of them passing on, and the seals in that room recreate their bodies. That caught your attention, huh? No, it will not let you send your ninja out to conquer the world without the fear of dying, because the seals require certain things to work that I refuse to reveal that can't be duplicated, but what I can do is create a business here in Konoha that would draw in tourists. Similar to the Chunin exams, who will have the opportunity to gamble on who would win, which would cover the cost of taking care of the prisoners who would be fighters in these battles, which would also give you a chance to have your ninja every day if they choose to battle, as well as have your genin experience their first kill without worrying about them freezing in the field and dying, and that is only a few of the benefits my proposal would create. Danzo said, what would you want in exchange for this? Naruto said, my bloodline that allowed me to capture Aoi soul here only works on those who I actually defeat in battle or those who surrender their souls to me. The prisoners you have in your prison will fight to help Konoha increase your economy and increase the skills level of your ninja for as long as they are prisoners here. If they refuse to fight in the battle pit until their time is up or they die of old age, then they have to surrender their souls to me. When the word spreads about this fighting the prisoners have to do and the consequences of giving up, the number of criminals working in the Fire Nation will decrease here and increase in other areas, and that will make the good people who live in those areas either move from Theer to Fire Country or pressure their leaders to become allies with Konoha to gain its protection from the criminals. In essence, this arrangement could help Konoha become the police force of the entire world. This would cause other nations to either become military allies of Konoha to get a percentage of the profit, or for them to become like the Hot Spring Village, a tourist trap. Both of which are beneficial to Konoha. Also, feudal lords only see the potential skills of genin currently with the Chunin exams. By having this battle arena you can show off the full skill capability of your genin, Chunin, Junin, ANBU, and even your Hokage if the council and Hokage make it wherever Konoha ninja has to fight at least once a month in the battle arena to keep up their skills. Imagine the publicity of having the great Sharingan Kakashi battle against the Jiraiya of the Sannin and Hiruzen Sarutobi. A battle of the ages. Hell, even other village leaders might come to see a battle like that, or come to participate in them in hopes to bring customers to their village. The other cages will make peace treaty with Konoha in exchange for being able to come here and fight in the arena, sending some of their more skilled fighters here instead of taking mission to advertise their village. A continuous state of war during a continuous state of peace. The best of both worlds, and Konoha will be the power in charge of this after it is set up, receiving all the profit, except a small tribute to me of course. Danzo calmed himself down and asked, what kind of tribute? Naruto said, besides the souls of those cowards who give up fighting, 10% of all profit of the business that I set up, as well as you giving me all information on people or objects of interest that I find might be able to help me in my quest to return to my homeland, unlimited access to the battle arena for me, my friends, allies, and servants. After all, I need those fighting under me to be able to increase their skills levels just like you will be doing for your ninja. I've found the best way to do that is through combat. Danzo said, what can you use to back up your claim that this won't be a waste of resources to Konoha instead of a profit? Naruto said, if you are going to be Hokage someday Danzo, then you need to think outside the box. People come here to watch the fights, that lodging they will pay for, food they will pay for, souvenirs they will pay for, entertainment to keep them distracted when not watching the fights, the alcohol they will consume to help increase their time, as well as the seduction situations Konoha will have a chance to have their kunoichi practice on, all the information that your ninja could gather from overhearing VIPs talk. Also you could gain some red light entertainment with legal brothels who give a percentage to Konoha for operating licenses. That's just to name a few. Shikaku said, you seem to have this all planned out. Naruto said, I've been doing this for years in hell. It's why I am one of the most respected people there, along with the riches, which is why my great aunt was forced to blackmail my grandmother to banish me. I'm too important to her future plans. Ai, who had been looking down, thought, this is all an act. Kitsu is trying to keep from laughing, I can see it, and Shikamaru knows it as well, but why isn't he saying anything? Why is it I am following Naruto's orders to be quiet? I can feel it, his anger, his hate. Grandma, why have you caused this? Has everything I've been told and believed in been wrong? Danzo looked at Shikaku and said, this proposal is too important to be considered by just Shikaku and I request you give us a chance to discuss this privately with the full council. Naruto said, what exactly is there to discuss, because I've just told you about a business opportunity that your actions has cost you. I don't believe it would be in my best interest to make any kind of deal with you after not only the disrespect this council has given me, but also the fact you have nothing of any real value that I can't get someplace else at a cheaper price. I'm only contractually obligated to stay here originally until the class 1 I'm in graduates, but thanks to your actions that deadline is only until a month before that class graduates. After that Kitsu and I will leave to go someplace else. I'm sure Iwa or Kumo would be interested in this deal. Hell, I got a few things I could offer him and get the same things from them that I would get from you at half the cost. I think I'll just go ahead and leave now, since this is a waste of time. As he started to stand up, Danzo said, wait, this is your home, Naruto interrupted Danzo and said, no. This is your home, not mine. I have no allegiances to you or anyone else in the elemental nations. I have no sympathy or emotions getting in my way. I am on a mission to return to my home as quickly as possible and nothing will get in my way of completing my mission. I've only met a few people that have not displeased me. One is sitting beside me but he's not moving or saying anything because Kitsu has him restrained with a jutsu in order to save his life from me because she has seen me when I am displeased like this. Council has caused me to be and knows that if he were to try and intervene on Konoha's behalf I would make sure the next sunrise he saw was in hell. Now unless you have something that would interest me that I can't acquire somewhere else, then as far as I'm concerned this meeting is over. Danzo thought, this boy would make an excellent shinobi if he was only loyal to Konoha, perhaps. Danzo saw Naruto stand up and said, I have something that might interest you. Naruto said, really now, what might that be? As he slowly sat down in his chair. Danzo said, it is not widely known but I am the leader of an ANBU Black Ops division called Root. Each are completely loyal to Konoha and would do whatever is required of them to complete the mission and for Konoha. Each are highly skilled in combat. I would be willing to give you them in exchange for agreeing to the proposal you were speaking about. Many eyes in the room widened and Shikaku said, Danzo, you can't be serious, that's... Naruto interrupted him and said, exactly how many are we talking about? Danzo said, 20. Naruto snorts and said, that deal is insulting. I'd kill 5 times that many when you send them after me to keep what I am offering out of the hands of other villagers and I could just enslave their souls to me then, but why fight when we can negotiate? I'll counter-offer you 200 of these Root members in exchange for opening negotiations about a deal similar to the one I was originally considering. That deal was originally heavy rewards for you and only minor for me. I want something a little more fair to me. Danzo said, 50. Naruto said, 150. Shikaku said, this is madness, you can't barter people's lives like this. Naruto said, why not, your village does this all the time. Your Hokage barters with clients about missions that can and often do cause the life of someone else. You are a shinobi, a hired assassin, a paid killer. A person's life is only worth the price someone is willing to pay to have them killed. Your families and village runs on blood money. This is no different. How many people have you killed in your life in the line of duty for Konoha? Shikaku frowned and Danzo said, 100 of my men and $400,000 in cash. Naruto was silent a moment and held up both his hand and both hands began to glow and a scroll began to appear in each hand and Naruto said, very well. These 2 scrolls are similar to the one I have made with Hiruzen. The scroll here in my right hand is to be signed in blood by you Danzo. It is a contract between us. It's simply a business precaution. Place a drop of your blood on the dotted line at the bottom. This contract states that you are going to give me 100 of your Root Ninja as well as $400,000 in cash. Since I don't want to have to meet these Root Ninja right now and I won't need them until I start getting ready to head back to hell, they will still be able to serve you. But, after you sign your scroll you will take the second scroll and have the 100 Root Ninja place a drop of blood on one of the 100 dotted lines in that scroll. You will bring that scroll back with you tomorrow at 10 AM with the blood for all 100 along with the money and give them both to me. If you attempt to double-cross me by using random civilians, or criminals, or even ninja not in your Root division, then the first scroll will automatically activate and take your soul, killing you. This is a dual contract. Just as your soul is on the line, so is mine. If you pay me the scroll and the money agreed upon, then I have no choice but to attempt negotiations with you for 1 week or until an agreement has been made. After 1 week, if no agreement is made, then I am free to cancel negotiations. You will have 1 week to come up with something I would want that you could offer, so do we have a deal? Chapter 7. After Danzo signed the contract after reading it several times, Naruto excused himself and his group from the council chambers. Once out on the streets, Naruto frowned and pulled out his wallet and said, here Kitsu, take this and get you and AI some cloths along with all 3 of you something to eat. Shikamaru grunted, trying to break free of Kitsu's shadow jutsu, and AI said in a surprised tone, you're not coming. Naruto said, no, I'm a little tired so I'm going to get some sleep. Bye, as he fell into his shadow and disappeared. AI looked at the spot Naruto had been standing before turning to Kitsu and said, he was lying about being tired, wasn't he? Kitsu said, yep, in a dead tone. AI frowned and said, why did he lie though? Kitsu gave AI a look a moment and said, it's not my place to say, you coming? As she turned and began to walk away. AI bit her lip and said, I'm going to head back to the apartment, would you mind picking me up something? I don't care what, my sizes are 36, 25, 33. Shikamaru's mind froze a moment as did Kitsu, who turned to look at AI, and Kitsu said, you're joking right, life's so not fair. Damn you Kami, damn you Yami. She's not even completely grown up, or out yet. Come on lazy bones, as she hooked her arm with Shikamaru and began to drag him away. AI saw this and said, wait, do you know where Naruto is? Silence was all she got in return as Kitsu and Shikamaru walked out of sight. Once they lost sight of AI, Kitsu released the shadow hold she had on Shikamaru, who nearly fell a moment from regaining control of his body before he turned and said, troublesome vixen. What the hell was that about back there? Kitsu cocked her head to the side and said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Shikamaru frowned and said, I'm talking about what does Naruto hope to achieve with this battle arena thing. Kitsu shrugged and said, truthfully, I don't know. I may have been his babysitter when his mother was out, but I only dared to teach him a few things and none of them. Didn't want the piss of Yami or Shinigami. Before Shikamaru could say anything, an ANBU appeared and said, "Hokage-sama has requested both of your presences in the Hokage Tower, immediately." Shikamaru opened his mouth and Kitsu covered it with her hand and he glared at her and thought, troublesome. As she smirked and said, "Okay Mr. Scary ANBU guy, can you take us there?" in a sweet innocent voice. The ANBU put his hand on both Thea's shoulders and both were shushined away along with the ANBU. When they appeared in the Hokage office, Shikaku Nara was there along with Hiruzen Sarutobi, who said, "Where are the other two at ANBU?" The ANBU said, "My team and I have yet to locate him, Hokage-sama." Kitsu said, "You won't either if my guess is right, Hokage-sama. Kit's gone off to be alone to clear his head and AI has gone chasing after him. You have about as much chance of finding him as a snowball in hell." Shikaku said, "Is what Naruto said true? Were you holding Shikamaru with a jutsu?" Kitsu said, "Watch my shadow." As her shadow shot out and connected to Shikamaru, who grunted, and both began to lift their right hand. Everyone in the room was wide-eyed and Hiruzen asked, "How are you doing that?" Kitsu said, "It's part of my bloodline. If I come into physical contact with someone, I can absorb their powers for half the time I am in contact with them. If Shikakun wouldn't have made my throat so sore the other night, then I'd be able to do this even longer than I am now. Yoshina-sama must be a very happy woman if Nara-sama is as well endowed as his son." As her cheeks turned pink with a blush, Shikaku's eyes went wide as he looked at Shikamaru and said, "Shikamaru, are you?" Shikamaru said, "Troublesome vixen, my personal life is personal, father." Kitsu slapped Shikamaru upside the back of the head and said, "Respect your father, Shikakun. I know you're still upset that your parents were fighting the other night, which is why I was willing to do anything to make you feel better. Don't follow the path of the emo. It only leads to gay pedophiles who want you for your body. Stay with me, Shikakun, you're my only hope." As she said the last part seductively as she gave him the Kitsune I no Jutsu while her fingers drawed circles on his chest as she leaned up against him. Several thuds were heard, causing Shikamaru and Kitsu to look at the room and saw Shikaku, Hiruzen, and the 4 ANBU in the room passed out on the floor with blood coming out of their noses. Shikamaru shook his head and Kitsu put her finger under his chin and turned his head to look at her, and she smirked and nods before kissing him passionately as both fell into her shadow and disappeared out of the room. The next moment Shikamaru found himself on a bed with Kitsu sitting on top of his lap, and Shikamaru quickly looked around and said, "Where are we?" Kitsu said, "My room." Shikamaru glared at her and said, "You're not seriously thinking about doing that, are you?" Kitsu rubbed her hips against Shikamaru's and said, "Someone is and it's not me." Shikamaru blushed and said, "Troublesome, why are you doing this to me?" Kitsu got an innocent look on her face and said, "I'm not doing anything to you, at least nothing that you don't want to happen. Don't give me that look, Shikakun. If you were not interested in what might happen, then you would have shoved me off you and gotten up and left. Deep down under that lazy attitude, you're as perverted as everyone else in the universe. Why do you think Kami and Yami are the way they are? Kami a submissive bitch and Yami is into S&M, hell even Gabrielle a submissive bitch, that's why." As she stopped talking, Shikamaru got an interested look on his face when he saw Kitsu stop and get a look on her face that Shikamaru could read very easily, and he said, "That's why what, Kitsu? What about Gabrielle?" Kitsu frowned and got off Shikamaru's lap and pulled her knees up to her chest and said, "Just drop it, Shika." Shikamaru got a smirk on his face and said, "I'm not dropping anything including my pants unless I want to, Kitsu, and I don't want to drop it, so tell me what you started to say." Kitsu blushed and said, "Pervert. Ai, her father, he was one of the few souls I actually respected. Hell, I still respect him. His name was Sakumo Hitaki." Shikamaru's eyes widened and said, "The White Fang is Ai father?" Kitsu nods and said, "Ai doesn't know, not even Yami, Shinigami, or Naruto know." In a sad tone. Shikamaru got a confused look on his face and said, "Then how do you know?" Kitsu bit her lip and said, "I'll only tell you if you agree to give me something as an insurance policy." Shikamaru asked, "What do you want?" Kitsu looked at him and said, "You. I want you as mine for all eternity." Shikamaru frowned and said, "Why me? What's so important to me that you would want me for all eternity?" Kitsu closed her eyes and said, "I've met you before, in a previous life. You've been reborn 4 times in the last 600 years. You've got a single birthmark line on your left hip. Your mum says it's because you were lazy inside her womb and stayed in one spot too long." Shikamaru's eyes widened and said, "Have you been spying on me?" Kitsu shook her head and said, "No. You got that mark because I gave it to your soul. It's a scar I gave you the first time we met. I had only been here for about 20 years after me and the other Biju were sent here. Humans were only just beginning to understand chakra then. It was amusing really when I think back to it, which explains how when we met I was defeated in combat. I didn't know the name you had at the time, but you were the leader to a village Malatia in a small kingdom that doesn't exist anymore. Your men had presented me with a gift of worship, 9 cauldrons. Full of meat and wine, one for each of my majestic tails. I thought it was so cute. It was actually the first time I had met a living human instead of those brought to hell. Even though I was not allowed to reveal my human form, I saw you as sort of a man who was coming to seek my hand by the praise you had the people sing to me and the gifts you gave me. I was naive and stupid back then. I asked for the leader who sought my blessing to come before me and you did. I asked you to tell me about myself and you acted like a lazy bum back then as well, but you were also as crafty then as I know you are now. You had the wine and food filled with a berry that causes a person to fall into a coma. Shikamaru smirked and said, I could see that working. Kitsu said, it did, except for my special ability. You had taken a precaution of taking an antidote to the berry poison in case I asked you to demonstrate it wasn't poison. As I was passing out I asked you how you defeated me and you told me about your plan and precaution. That was when I gave you that scar. I was desperate and I used one of my fangs to slice you open to drink your blood for the antidote. In my desperation I scared your soul. Shikamaru said, I take it that I died and when I was reborn you and I met again. Kitsu said, yes, it was a mercy killing though, I ate you in one bite. Causing Shikamaru to pale. Kitsu said, anyways, the second time we met was about 290 years ago. I was in what you call demon country. Of course my reputation as the strongest of the 9 Biju was being called into question. The other Biju and I had decided on a battle royal to prove once and for all who was the strongest. Of course someone would come up with an idea to eliminate all the Biju at one time. Care to take a guess? With an amused look on her face. Shikamaru frowned and said, what did I do? Kitsu said in an amused tone, you, what makes you think it was you? Shikamaru said, it wasn't. Kitsu said, no, you were the one who had to clean up the mess, the idiot who decided to bring an army to capture us. It's kinda funny actually. Twice we met and twice you chose the wiser choice, the path of less violence. Shikamaru frowned and said, I'm not either of those two men, even if my soul was. I'm me. Kitsu smiled and said, you said those same words to me the last time we met. As she looked up at the ceiling and said, did you know that a demon's word is binding? Shikamaru said nothing and Kitsu said, the second time we met I had stolen the powers of the other Biju for myself during the fighting, but that power was too much for me to possess, my body couldn't handle it. I was going to die from chakra overload on a scale that would have wiped out everything for hundreds of miles. You realized my secret power and drank my blood from a wound I had, and even though it was toxic to you, you saved my life by drawing as much of my power as you could into your body, killing you and saving me. Kitsu looked into Shikamaru's eyes and said, as your body was destroyed I saw your soul and saw the wound I gave you before you passed on. I made a promise that day. Twice my arrogance caused me to nearly die and twice you died to save me. I promised that the next time we met you would be able to control my power to stop me so that whatever situation I found myself in that you would not have to do to save me. Shikamaru narrowed his eyes and slowly his eyes widened and Kitsu said, figured it out, have we missed a shadow? Shikamaru said, are you telling me that? That is so very troublesome. Kitsu said, that's right, you were Hashirama Senju, Shodime Hokage of Konoha, and the reason you could control me and all those under me who I had the power to boss around wasn't because of your Mokuden ability but because of the promise I made. You made Konoha because it was the smartest path of least bloodshed, so I ask now that you understand what it is I see in you, will you be mine, now and forever? Will you be the one I can count on to protect me from myself? Will you become my master of shadows, the man who I can give my body, heart, and most precious item to, my soul to? Shikamaru looked up at the ceiling and said, if I find it less troublesome to accept your offer, what exactly will happen? Kitsu said, if you accept my offer then you will claim me sexually. You must mark me as yours by biting me on the neck and I will do the same. This will link our souls together. My soul can't go to heaven, not that I ever would want to, and it can't go to limbo. Only humans are allowed in heaven. By our souls becoming linked I will stay here in this world with you until you pass away, and then your soul and mine will go to hell to live with the other non-human races serving under the leadership of Yami, who I believe is actually the better one to live under, considering Kami cares only for human souls while Yami cares about all souls. She only punishes those who are truly guilty. Shikamaru closed his eyes and began to think when there was a knocking on the bedroom door. Kitsu frowned and got up off the bed and opened the door and blinked as she saw Naruto standing there without a shirt on, and he said, Kitsu, what's Shika doing here? Kitsu said, I was trying to seduce the lazy bum. What's wrong, Kit? You've got a weird look about you. Naruto bit his lip and said, I need advice, Kitsu. I'm scared. In a nervous voice. Kitsu's eyes widened and said, come in, Kit. In a commanding voice as she grabbed Naruto's arm, and Naruto flinched, which was not missed by Shikamaru or Kitsu, who quickly let go and said, sorry, what happened, what's wrong? Naruto looked at his arm where Kitsu grabbed him and said in a scared voice, I can feel, Kitsu. I mean, really feel. Kitsu said, whoa, slow down. You said you can feel, as it feelings of the flesh. What happened? Naruto, who had shook his head yes when Kitsu was talking, took a deep breath and said, after I left you all earlier I came back here and took a shower to try and clear my head. I've told you before that being hit with all those thousands of drops of water distract my attention and make me forget what was bothering me for a while. I heard the door open to the bathroom and I figured it was you, since you used to come in and wash my back when I was younger and to talk to me when you knew I was upset like earlier. It wasn't, it was AI. Kitsu growled and said, what did she do? Naruto looked down and thought back to what happened and said. Flashback. Naruto was leaning against the shower wall letting the water beat into his back when he heard the bathroom door open, and Naruto thought, good old godmother. As a small smile appeared on his face. A few moments later the sound of the curtain opened up and Naruto, who was still facing the wall, said, don't you think I'm a little too old now to have you wash my back like you used to? A voice behind him said, everyone could use a hand every now and then. Causing Naruto to tense, and he turned quickly and saw AI standing in the shower with a towel wrapped around her. Naruto growled and said, what the hell are you doing in here, get out. AI bit her lip and reached for the curtain end near Naruto like she was going to get out, but used her other hand to tug on the towel, causing it to fall to the floor in the shower. Naruto's eyes widened and began to take in AI body, who placed her hand on his shoulder instead of the curtain and said, are you sure you want me to leave? The next moment Naruto's eyes rolled backwards into his body as he moaned as feeling overcame his chest where AI hand was. AI stepped closer and placed her other hand on Naruto's chest, whose legs began to shake as more feeling rocked his body, and AI leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. End flashback. Naruto said, after that I blacked out, and when I woke up I found myself in my bed still nude with AI laying on me asleep with her head on my chest. I've been in there awake ever since then, trying to figure out what happened. Why certain things cause one feeling while other things cause other feelings, all while she laid on me asleep. I'm scared, Kitsu. I didn't want to move. I wanted to lay there with her body against mine, with her hair sprawled against my skin, with the scent of her body feeling my nose and the sound of her breathing echoing in my ears. What's happening, Kitsu? What did she do to me? Before anyone could say anything, AI voice came from the door and said, I healed your body. I restored to you what was taken from you the day you were born. Everyone turned to AI, who had on a bathrobe, and Naruto asked, why did you do that? I never asked you to do that. What are you after? In an accusing tone. AI said, you told me that Kami was wrong and that everyone has the gift of free will. Since I've met you I've been questioning myself and my beliefs. You saved me from my mother when as far as you knew I was your enemy. You could have stood there and done nothing, but you didn't. You might say it was just to piss off Grandma Kami or some other reason to help with your plans, but I think the reason is you're not as evil as you act. You don't want others to feel what you felt. Naruto said, you don't know what you're talking about, as he looked out the window. AI said, maybe you're right, in which case what I did means absolutely nothing, but I think I am right in that you were becoming the very thing you hate because you were becoming apathetic toward mortals, just like you claim Grandma is. You see yourself as above them and have forgotten what it means to be mortal. You only care about your vengeance and will do anything to make Kami pay for hurting you the only way you could be hurt, emotionally. Regardless of what you have to do or who gets hurt in the process. That's why you did what you did in that council chambers earlier. You haven't shown them, but I bet you have them. I bet you have angel wings like I do. You have an angel form just like I do. You call yourself a vengeful son of a bitch. I think you see yourself as an angel of vengeance, and maybe you are. AI had tears in her eyes as she was speaking, and she said, but if I'm right then I want to be an angel of redemption, because I believe that you're not so far gone that you can't be saved, that as long as there is someone who loves you that you could be stopped from becoming the thing you hate most. I don't know what you feel for me, Naruto, but I love you, and it's not because of Grandma Kami or Mother or anyone else's plans or schemes. I love you because you have done something that no one else has ever done for me. You helped me when no one has. Grandma's been so busy looking for you and ruling heaven that she only would see me for a few moments. Mother hates me because she never wanted me. Grandma forced her to have me, so her and my brother Michael act like I didn't exist. I've had some people who would talk to me, but usually they would either see me as someone who could maybe get them closer to Grandma for a blessing, or someone they might be able to use for some reason. Because of that I was alone a lot. Even when Kushina and Minato would come talk to me, it was always about you. When you saved me from Mother you gave me hope that someone actually cared about me. When you healed me when I was asleep I felt something here, in my heart. Kitsu felt Shikamaru pull her back toward him while Naruto was watching AI completely, and AI said, you talk about the powers of Kami and Yami. You're right, like your grandmother you have the power to heal the spirit because you have healed mine, so I decided I was going to do for you what you have done for me. I healed your body and put us as close as possible in the shower, and then in the bed when you were awake enjoying my presence I was pretending to be asleep while also awake, trying to help you experience the happiness you gave me. I wanted to be the first thing you felt joy from, so you can know the feeling that you gave me by being the first to bring me joy as well. I don't care about Kami or Yami or Thea's stupid bed or Mother or anything else anymore except you. I love you, Naruto, with every ounce of my being, heart, mind, body and soul. I give you everything to use as you see fit because I believe in the man I know is inside your heart, not the angel of vengeance but the man. Naruto interrupted he and said, enough. AI stopped talking and Kitsu and Shikamaru looked at Naruto, who said, AI. I thank you for healing my body, but I refuse to take what you are offering. Your soul is the most important thing you have. It is the one thing that truly belongs to you and should never be given away or taken. Besides, it don't matter if this was some kind of plan or trap by Kami or anyone else. You're right about me, I'm a vengeful son of a bitch, but I am no monster. The council has already fallen into my trap and nothing can stop it now. Thea greed has brought an end to the game. I don't care what I have to promise the council to get them to agree to give me permission to build the battle arena, but once they do I will demand only one thing and one thing only. I will demand that the first match in the battle arena be one that I chose, and I can pick any Konoha ninja to be in the match. When they give me that I will have the ability to not only defeat Kami but also go back to hell to be with my mother and grandmother, and it won't cost me but just the time between now and the time the council gives in to my demand. I'll have Kami by the short hairs and she will have no choice but to release me from all her plans, fate, destiny, and any other bullshit she has up her sleeve. Naruto, who had looked out the window, turned back to AI and said, "You said you love me. Love is something that can be won, given, stolen. You said you offer me your body. A body can be used for countless acts of pleasure or pain by countless individuals. The only thing you truly have, AI, is your soul. Love is an emotion that clouds the mind and body, causing mortals to make terrible mistakes. You don't love me, AI. You have gratitude for me because your spirit is overloaded with pleasure for the first time in your life, just like I was in the shower before I passed out. Don't waste something so valuable on something that is most likely a mistake. Your soul is the price I pay to you for giving me the gift you gave me. All deals are final. Goodbye." As he began to move toward the door to leave, Kitsu said, "Where are you going, Kit?" Naruto said, "I'm going to enjoy the one things we don't have in hell while I can, sunshine against my skin." As he disappeared. After he was gone, AI had tears in her eyes and Kitsu frowned and looked at Shikamaru, who nods in understanding, and Kitsu smiled and got up and said, "Come with me." AI said in a pain-filled voice, "Why?" Kitsu said, "Because you're going to have to prove the same thing I've got to prove to the man I love. They can't get rid of our love for them ever, so they might as well accept it. After all, we can be way more troublesome than they can. After all, women are in charge of heaven and hell, and every man knows hell hath no fury like a woman scorned." Shikamaru, who was fixing to leave, froze and thought, Troublesome. Chapter 8. Naruto was sitting on the Hokage monument looking at the sky when a voice said, "Hello, heathen," saying the last word with venom in his voice. Naruto blinked before kicking off the ground, landing on his feet, and began to look around. Naruto saw a man who appeared to be in his late teens with white hair and brown eyes in white armor with angel wings sticking out of his back. Naruto frowned and said, "Let me guess. Michael." The man said, "I see my reputation precedes me." Naruto said, "Arrogant much?" Michael said, "I'm here to smite you for what you did to my mother, you heathen." Naruto chuckled and said, "Ah yes, Gabriel. How is she doing?" Michael pulled a bow off his back and an arrow made out of energy formed in it, and Michael said, "Goodbye, heathen," as he fired the arrow at Naruto's head. Naruto reached up and grabbed the arrow when it was an inch from piercing his eye, and he smirked and held the arrow with both hands and snapped it in half and said, "Is that the best you can do? I thought you were going to smite this heathen." Michael pursed his lips and said, "So you've been trained in soul defense, have you?" Naruto said, "What can I say? Having a Lich King for a babysitter has its perks." Michael clenched his fist and said, "Are you mocking me?" Naruto said, "Are you mocking me?" in Michael's voice. Michael flew into the air 20 feet above the mountain and said, "Know your place, you." The next moment a fist was buried in his gut as Naruto had appeared in front of Michael, who was gasping for breath, leaning on Naruto's shoulder, and Naruto said, "Now hear me, heathen. Take this message to that bitch Kami. I've won. I've defeated her master plan for the Biju and me. In less than 2 weeks I'll not only win that victory over her but also take from her countless souls that currently reside in heaven, sending them to limbo and hell, including Minato and Kushina. In 6 days I'll be at the temple north of here. Tell her to meet me there at noon exactly, or at 12:30 I'll destroy all her years of work before returning to hell with all the souls I have taken her. Also tell her this. I have found a soul her and Yami have been seeking and will have it with me that day. If she doesn't show, then I'll present the soul to my grandmother to entice to her side to win the bet. You and your bitch of a mother are invited also." Naruto spun around and chopped the back of Michael's neck and thought, "Pussy. You've been pampered your entire life and only attack at a distance, can't stand getting up close and personal, bitch." As he let Michael drop to the ground. The sound of footsteps on dirt was heard and Naruto looked back and saw Shikamaru standing there, who looked from Naruto to Michael and said, "So, who's the guy on the ground?" Naruto said, "Michael, AI brother." Shikamaru nods and said, "Come with me, I want to talk to you about something privately." Naruto drew back and kicked Michael and said, "That's for AI, asshole," as he began to follow Shikamaru. Naruto and Shikamaru soon were at Shikamaru's house, which was empty, and Naruto raised an eyebrow and Shikamaru said, "My mother's moved back into her parents' house and dad's drinking." Naruto said, "You hate me for causing that?" Shikamaru said, "No, I hate myself for not noticing my mother's pain earlier." Naruto said, "So what do you want to talk about?" Shikamaru pulled out a bottle of sake and a shoji set and said, "You mind?" Naruto smirked and pulled out a scroll and unsealed a bottle of Jack and said, "Try this." As he poured them both some as Shikamaru set the board up while putting the sake bottle back. Naruto took a shot of Jack while Shikamaru took a sip and began to cough, and Naruto made the first move on the board and Shikamaru said, "So did you really find the soul Kami and Yami are looking for?" Naruto smirked and said, "So you were there longer than I thought you were." Shikamaru said, "You didn't answer my question." Naruto said, "Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. I'm not going to tell you unless I have to, and there is nothing you can do to make me tell you." Shikamaru said, "Fair enough. So why did you refuse AI offer?" Naruto said, "Why are you not jumping at Kitsu offer?" Shikamaru said, "So you were there longer than I thought also, huh?" Naruto smirked, making a move to counter Shikamaru, and said, "I've also read her diary back in hell. You know she's not as old as you might think." Shikamaru raised an eyebrow and said, "You think it, because of her age?" Naruto leaned back looking at the board and said, "Isn't it?" Shikamaru said, "No, well, I'm not who she thinks I am. I'm just barely a teenager who just starting his life and she expecting me to match up to some guy she. Naruto placed his hand over Shikamaru's mouth and shot him a glare. Once he was sure Shikamaru wasn't going to say anything, Naruto said, "Do you know how a soul ages, Shikamaru?" "They don't. Souls are ageless. The only reason a soul looks older or younger is because of a person's willpower. A person who has a strong will and believes they are undefeatable and has nothing to worry about would appear as a child, while a person who is worried down by a decision they made or regrets they have looks a lot older. That is why when mortals are reborn, their souls usually change to match the life they have. Kitsu looks the age she does now because she doesn't have any real regrets anymore that she's had in the past. Basically she's just as old as you are now in spirit, while her body is the same age as you as well. The passage of time causes you to forget a lot of things, because they aren't really as important as you once thought they were unless they truly are something important. For Kitsu to remember you after all these years, you must be important to her." Shikamaru said, "But..." Naruto placed his hand on Shikamaru's shoulder and said, "It's your choice, Shika. I can't tell you what to do. I just know that you're the only soul Kitsu has ever liked." Shikamaru looked at the board and said, "It looks like I might lose this game." Naruto said, "That's what happens when you don't take a chance or understand the game." Shikamaru looked down and said, "You're right. If I'm not willing to take a chance, then I have already lost. But what if you face an opponent who is vastly more experienced than you?" Naruto looked at Shikamaru and said, "So that's what your problem is?" Shikamaru sighed and said, "I." Naruto flicked him in between the eyes with a shoji piece, stopping him, and Naruto said, "Shika, I told you that time makes you forget things. You're thinking about all the knowledge she has and all the experiences she has had at one time, but over time she's forgotten them. It's like reading a book now and then 20 years from now you read the same book again and you may have a familiar feeling to it or remember one or two things, but it's hazy. She doesn't remember some of the things she did last week, much less hundreds of years ago. Are you really going to push her away because of that, because you're afraid of a challenge? If you are, then you should just give up your soul now because you're not living, just being alive." Shikamaru asked, "What about you and AI?" Naruto looked down and said, "You can't give what isn't yours to give, Shika. Right now both AI and mine souls are both owned by others. My soul belongs to my mother and AI soul belongs to Kami. Mine was taken from me the day I was born because of your Yondaime, and AI soul was taken before she was born by Kami. As long as Yami and Kami's bed is going, neither of us can choose for ourselves who we want to be with." Shikamaru's eyes widened as they began to dart back and forward, and a look of understanding came to his face and said, "Troublesome." Naruto said, "Yeah, troublesome. If I don't do what Kami says, then she can hold Kitsu's soul as hostage, where she will be forced to suffer at the hands of her brother and mother for all eternity, and my soul belongs to my mother because of the rules of Yami and Kami bed about a soul being sacrificed in order to summon my mother." Shikamaru said, "I think I understand everything, but one thing, why did you turn her down like that?" Naruto said, "A person who doesn't realize they are actually a slave can live a happy life as long as the illusion they see isn't shattered. Telling her the truth would have shattered the illusion she has. If things work like I got planned, then she will be free soon and can live her life and find someone else she actually loves instead of respect out of gratitude. Speaking of, you mind if I crash here until my meeting with Kami? With AI and Kitsu at my apartment, I don't want to become distracted." Shikamaru grunted and said, "You're good. You defeated me, so I guess you can stay, but only if you will tell me something. What do you know about AI, father?" Naruto smirked and said, "I have no idea what you are talking about." Shikamaru said, "I see." Naruto said, "Well, I'm going to take a nap. Talk to you later, Shika." As he walked toward the hall, Shikamaru saw him leave and got up and left. 20 minutes later he was laying in a field looking at the sky when Kitsu and AI walked up, and Kitsu said, "Hey Shika-kun, have you seen Naruto?" Shikamaru said, "Yeah, I've seen him." Kitsu said, "And, where is he?" Shikamaru sat up and looked at Kitsu and then at AI, and after a moment said, "I've been thinking about what you said earlier, Kitsu." Kitsu said, "Oh, and what about it?" Shikamaru said, "I want to make a bet with you. A bet about AI and Naruto. If AI can get Naruto to be with her, then I'll accept what you offered, Kitsu, but if she can't, then I won't. For terms of the bet, there can be no interference from me and you, so no helping her and no helping Naruto." Kitsu said, "So a bet of no interference between us then?" Shikamaru said, "That's right, just like the bet between Yami and Kami. So do you accept?" Kitsu said, "Only if you agree that I can be with you to keep me company until either she gives up or they get together, deal?" Shikamaru said, "Deal. Sorry AI, I can't help you find Naruto and neither can Kitsu. You will have to find him on your own. By the way, I met Michael." Both Kitsu and AI froze as they heard this, and Kitsu said, "Who?" Shikamaru said, "AI brother Michael. Michael attacked Naruto with a bow and arrow. I didn't see what happened really, but I did see Naruto fly off the Hokage monument before falling." Kitsu growled and AI got a worried look on her face and asked, "Where is he?" Shikamaru said, "Answer me a question first. Demons are honored bound by their words. Are angels also honored bound to their words? Tell me what I want to know and I'll tell you." AI said, "Yes we are," in a worried tone. Shikamaru said, "Then promise me AI that if I tell you where Naruto is, then you will stay with him until Kitsu tells you that she will take over watching him for you. Deal?" AI said, "Deal." Now where is? Shikamaru said, my place. AI disappeared from view and Kitsu got up and started to move when she was frozen in place and Shikamaru said, you have to stay by my side Kitsu and you can't interfere with AI and Naruto. That was the deal. Kitsu growled and said, you son of a bitch, Naruto heard and Shikamaru said, who said he was hurt? I said he flew off the Hokage monument after the attack before he fell. He did fly off and punched Michael in the stomach before he fell back to the ground on the Hokage monument. Now you're stuck with me and Naruto is stuck with AI. Kitsu blinked and said, you. Shikamaru said, tricked you, that's right. Now come here and watch the clouds with me, your troublesome vixen. I got the feeling we are going to see fireworks soon. Kitsu smirked and said, I knew there was a reason I loved you. When AI disappeared from the field she instantly appeared in Shikamaru's room and fell on top of Naruto who was laying on Shikamaru's bed. Naruto grunted and said, what the hell? AI, damn it, Shikamaru, you ratted me out. AI blinked and looked around confused and said, where am I? Naruto fell into his shadow and appeared on top of the Hokage monument and AI instantly appeared right next to him and AI seemed even more confused and Naruto growled and disappeared again and appeared in the forest to death and AI appeared next to him again. Naruto said, damn it, stop following me. AI said, I'm not. What is going on, why do I keep appearing next to you? Naruto frowned and said, what were you doing just before you appeared next to me? AI said, getting ready to come help you heal from Michael's attack. Shikamaru. Naruto said, damn it, where is he? AI said, come with me, I'll show you. 20 minutes later they walked into a field where Kitsu was laying on Shikamaru's shoulder and Naruto said, damn it Shikamaru, what's going on here? Why is AI keep appearing next to me? Shikamaru smirked and said, sorry Naruto, I can't help you and neither can Kitsu. A demon's word is binding and we agreed to not help you or AI. Sorry. Naruto glared at Shikamaru and said, bastard. Shikamaru said, takes one to know one. Naruto growled and started to stomp away with AI who looked at Kitsu who was smirking and Shikamaru who looked to be sleeping with a smile on his face before she disappeared and appeared next to Naruto who screamed, damn you Kami. Chapter 9. After 4 hours of Naruto trying to escape AI who would instantly appear where he was if he got too far away, including the time he appeared above the women's hot springs before disappearing again causing AI to appear above the springs and fall in getting soaked, Naruto finally appeared in his bedroom. When AI appeared her cloths were still damp and she was sitting Indian style tapping her finger against her arm and said, are you done yet? In a scolding tone. Naruto said, yeep, you're stuck with me. That's one for you Shikamaru but you're going to face the wrath of the prankmaster from hell. Pun intended. AI said, good. Before a frying pan slammed upside Naruto's skull knocking him out. Kitsu walked into Naruto's bedroom hearing a ringing sound and blinked and asked, where did you get the frying pan? AI said, the restaurant he appeared in trying to lose me causing me to nearly fall onto the hot stove. Since then I've held onto this baby just waiting for him to finally stop. Kitsu nods and AI said, so what are you up to? Kitsu smirked and said, moving in with Shika-kun. I'm stuck to him like you are to Naruto. That means that you and Naruto-kun are going to be living all alone. AI blushed as she saw Kitsu wiggle her eyebrows when she said the word alone. Kitsu stood up a little straighter and said, AI, I can't help you and right now I wish I could but, do what you feel is right. AI said, but what if my feelings won't tell me what to do? Kitsu said, take a deep breath, count to 10, clean out your ears and listen again. Your feelings are never wrong, it's your head that doesn't understand. As she turned and started to walk out of the room. AI said, I thought you couldn't help me. Kitsu said, I was talking to myself, just because you overheard what I said doesn't mean I was helping you. AI eyes widened and Kitsu said, loopholes are the reason miracles happen. As she walked out of the room. Moments later AI heard Shikamaru say, troublesome, before the door to the apartment closed. AI looked at Naruto and sighed to herself before picking him up and putting him on the bed before laying down beside him and laying her chest on his head and thought, I'll only rest my eyes while I wait for him to wake back up. Several hours later Naruto awoke and found AI with her arms wrapped around him and her head resting on his shoulder. Sighing to himself he thought, maybe I can enjoy this, if only a little bit. Before he closed his eyes and went back to sleep. The next morning Naruto woke up and found AI kept disappearing in a puff of smoke before reappearing and Naruto frowned and sat up and said, what are you doing AI? It's not me, I think Grandma Kami is trying to summon me back to heaven, but as soon as I disappear, I reappear, back here. AI said each time she appeared. Naruto eyebrow rose a little and said, really? So right now Kami is probably getting upset, right? AI reappeared and said, could you repeat that? I didn't hear all of that. Naruto put his finger to his chin and looked at AI vanishing act a moment before he said, oh Shika you naughty boy. I could almost kiss you for this. Before he got out of bed and started to get dressed. Naruto quickly put his hand together and a Kajbunshin appeared of him and he said, you know what to do. To the clone before he turned and waited a moment before he grabbed AI hand and the next moment both her and Naruto disappeared leaving the clone behind. When they both appeared Naruto found himself in what appeared to be a white throne room and Naruto thought, it looks like Grandma's place but white. The next moment Naruto felt a ki blast being sent in his and AI direction, and a voice both AI and Naruto recognized as Gabrielle said, "Heathen, what are you doing here?" Naruto turned and looked at where the voice came from and said, "Hello you ugly bitch. Still as disgusting as the last time I saw you. How's Michael, still being a pussy?" Gabrielle growled and a voice said, "Enough. What are you doing here, mortal?" Naruto turned to the direction of the new voice and said, "Let me guess, you're Kami." AI, who was scared because of her mother's ki, turned to the new speaker and bowed quickly and said, "Grandmother." Kami raised her hand and AI silenced herself seeing this, and Kami said, "You're the child of prophecy, Naruto Uzumaki, right?" Naruto said, "What was your first guess? The fact I look like the bastard who donated his sperm to the bitch who gave birth to me, or the fact that AI who's supposed to be a gift to me won't let go of my hand?" Kami said, "I know you were raised in hell, but I will not forgive you for your language if you keep talking with such disrespect in my..." Naruto waved his hand and said, yeah, did Michael give you my message?" Gabrielle tensed and Kami raised an eyebrow and said, "What message?" Naruto smirked and looked at Gabrielle and said, "So, you haven't told your mother that I've discovered the soul her and Grandma Yami have been waiting for?" Kami's eyes widened and turned to Gabrielle and said, "What is he talking about, daughter?" Gabrielle said, "I don't know what he's talking about, mother." Naruto said, "Really, so you deny the fact that you sent Michael to assassinate me after I defended AI from you when you were torturing her, which is what happened to your voice?" Gabrielle frowned and Kami said, "This is a joyous occasion. It means that." Naruto said, "Not so fast, Kami. You seem to have forgotten the little fact that you don't know who the soul is or where to find it. I on the other hand have an ace up my sleeve because I can or have informed my grandmother where to find the soul, and she could be already showing her gift to him, and you have no way of knowing until I tell you where to find him." Kami frowned and said, "That would be cheating." And Naruto interrupted her and said, "As you pointed out, I was raised in hell. Who's to say my morals aren't low enough that I would cheat to help the woman I see as family win? Of course I might also be up for bribery to help you as well. I am a mortal human after all." Kami narrowed her eyes and said, "I see, you are a greedy individual. What is it you are wanting?" Naruto smirked and said, "I am even more sure now than I was a few moments ago that Gabrielle hasn't told you anything about what has been going on. After all, she wouldn't want you to turn on her for defying you or causing you to be put in a position of losing your little bet." Kami turned her gaze to Gabrielle and said, "What is he talking about, daughter?" Hissing the last part. Gabrielle glared at Naruto and said, "The mortal is lying, mother, and is trying to trick you into returning him to hell to be with your sister and her offspring." Naruto said, "You seem to forget something. Mortals have the ability of free will. As you already know, Kyubi went back with me to the mortal world, but she wasn't sealed in me. I may have been a Jinchuriki for a short while and I did come to heaven, but you see, I happen to know that in less than an hour, the gates of heaven are going to be broken wide open, and all the souls that have come to heaven since Konoha was founded will be taken from here and sent back to the mortal world along with both AI soul and my own." As a smirk appeared, everyone's eyes widened and Kami said, "You're lying." The next moment a screeching sound was heard and everyone's eyes turned to the sound and saw the gates of heaven began to bend and groan, and Naruto said, "Whoa, that was even quicker than I thought it would be." Gabrielle said, "Impossible. This can't be happening." As the gates burst open and a huge suction of wind began to blow toward the gates, and Naruto grabbed AI hand and said, "See you both on the flip side, bitches." Before his wings shot out of his back and both AI and he began to fly out the gates as the souls of several people began to fly past Kami and Gabrielle. Kami tried to use her powers to stop what was happening but went wide-eyed and said, "Impossible, my powers, they're gone." AI, who was shocked, closed her eyes and wrapped her arms around Naruto's chest as tears began to flow down her face, and Naruto thought, "Yeah, Shika, you're getting a kiss. I wonder what I'll have to pay Kitsu to kiss him for me." As they both passed through the gates of heaven. In Konoha, the sky above the village began to darken as the gates of heaven appeared in the sky above the village and opened wide as the ground in the village began to shake and the gates of hell began to rise out of the ground. As the gates of hell opened, a giant three-headed dog appeared, and Naruto, who shot out of the gates of heaven, saw the dog and quickly flew toward it and said, "Hey Cerberus, boy. Who's a good boy, who's a good boy?" As he landed on the center head of Cerberus. The dogs became excited and began to bark, and the two on the side tried to lick Naruto, who patted their tongues and said, "Down boys, down." The dogs sat down, but their shared tail was wagging as souls began to fly out of hell and heaven. It wasn't but a few moments before Yami appeared at the entrance to the gates of heaven and looked around and saw her grandson sitting on Cerberus' head and said, "Naruto. What is going on here?" Naruto cringed and a voice from the air said, "That is what I want to know as well, sister." As standing at the gates of heaven was Kami. Naruto smirked and said, "Too bad both of you can't step outside that gate, but to answer your question, a few moments ago I signed a contract with the Council of Konoha, who agreed to let me use any ninja of Konoha or ally for a demonstration of something I was offering. They never said it had to be an active, retired, or living Konoha ninja, and since at one time every nation was allied with another who later was allied with Konoha, every ninja of every ninja village since Konoha was founded has been brought back to life and according to the contract. No force of heaven or hell can break this contract. That means you are both powerless to stop it." Both Yami and Kami frowned and Naruto said, "But now here's the fun part. Yo Sakumo, you here?" Gabrielle paled when the figure of Sakumo Hitaki appeared and said, "I'm here, Naruto." Kami narrowed her eyes and said, "Why oh you, how dare you appear in my presence you?" Sakumo said, "I'm the fisherman," causing both Kami and Yami eyes to widen and pale. Naruto, who was laughed seeing the shocked looks on both their faces, said, "Ha, priceless. To think you had him in heaven, but because your daughter Gabrielle was angry at you for forcing her to have AI, lied to you about how she became pregnant, so you lost your chance to pamper him and get him to vote for you, and instead you banished him to hell where he was punished for a crime he didn't commit. In other words, you both fucked up." Yami turned and said, "You knew," in an angry tone. Naruto said, "Not until I came here and read about Konoha White Fang, the man who had white chakra, which was the signal to identify him from other souls to you both." Kami started to open her mouth, as did Yami, and Sakumo said, "Save it. I have nothing to say to either of you right now," as he began to walk towards Cerberus and looked at Naruto and AI and said, "Hello my daughter." AI couldn't believe what she was seeing and hearing, said in a questioning tone, "Dad, is that really you?" Sakumo nods and said, "I've dreamed of seeing you every day since I found out your mother was pregnant with you. Hello Kakashi, my son," as he looked to the side and saw Kakashi standing there with a shocked look on his face. Kakashi started to open his mouth and Naruto said, "Sakumo, I know that you want to speak with both your children right now, but the world is currently erupting into Armageddon. Right now neither Kami or Yami can touch you, and you could choose one over the other, where odds are you and your children will be smitten and tortured for all eternity by the loser of the two." Sakumo frowned and said, "What do you suggest then?" Naruto looked at Kami and Yami and said, "Right now, my soul belongs to Yami and her followers, and AI soul belongs to Kami and her followers. No matter what happens, both AI and I will be tortured, since we care for each other and yet won't be able to see each other. As long as the bed exists, then we can never be free, and even if you choose one over the other, AI and I would still lose." Sakumo frowned and Kami said, "Don't listen to that boy. He's..." Sakumo said, "Shut up Kami. That boy has protected and saved my daughter from her abusive mother. I trust him more than I trust either you or Yami. I assume that you have a reason for creating Armageddon," as he saw fighting and chaos spreading around the village as dead enemies attack the living for one reason or another. Naruto nods and said, "Souls that are sent to hell are punished for eternity even after they have forgotten whatever their crimes they committed were originally and are repented. The souls sent to heaven eventually forget what noble and good deed they did to get there and become arrogant with their way of life there. Gabrielle is a perfect example of what I mean. What I propose is that you proclaim that both Yami and Kami both have to continue what they have been doing, but once a soul in heaven becomes arrogant, they are sent to limbo to be reborn, and when a soul in hell has been redeemed, then they are also sent to limbo to be reborn." Both Yami and Kami eyes widened. Gabrielle glared and Shinigami had a proud look on her face as they all watched this, and Sakumo said, "But how would that protect you and AI?" Naruto said, "Someone has to decide when a soul has been redeemed in hell or corrupted in heaven. I propose that AI and I both become the angels of salvation and damnation, and we judge when a soul has been redeemed or corrupted after death." Sakumo nods his head as he thought about the words, and Gabrielle said, "You can't do that. You're only getting special treatment because of a stupid bet, and all you get to decide is if Mum or Yami wins." In. A chuckle was heard, causing everyone to look at Sakumo, who said in a voice that made both Yami and Kami freeze, "Silly little girl. So prideful and full of yourself you can't even tell when you have been deceived." Yami said, "Father, is that you?" Kami said, "Dad, it can't be." Sakumo said, "You both have become foolish since I left you both to give you time to spread your wings, my daughters." Gabrielle looked shocked as she heard her mother and aunt's words as well as Sakumo and said, "What is going on here?" Sakumo said, "When Sakumo Hitaki was born, he was moments away from dying. Because of the chakra marker your mother and aunt placed on the fisherman's soul, it was killing him and would have ended his life. His parents begged for a miracle, and I decided to help by allowing myself to hide inside Sakumo's soul because I wanted to see what my daughters had done without him knowing I was there. When I went to heaven, I was impressed until I met you and saw how conceited you were, Gabrielle, and how prideful my daughter Kami had become. I was deeply troubled by it, to the point I nearly smitted you myself. That was why I had Sakumo treat you like a bitch in heat when you told him he either sired a child with you or he would be banished from heaven. In hell I met my other grandchild Shinigami and saw Yami, and I gave both a small gift of compassion in their hearts, and that simple action screwed Kami plan by letting Shinigami decide to wait a few extra moments before taking Minato's soul and sealing Kyuubi into Naruto. That gift is what brings us to this point." Sakumo turned his head toward Naruto and AI and said, "Naruto and AI. I have many names and I do not look like this, but you are unable to see what I truly look like, as is even my daughters, but for now, both of you can call me great-grandfather, and I am sorry for the pain you both have felt from the actions our families have caused. I am proud of both of you in ways that you can't possibly fathom. I know you both care for each other even if you try to deny it. I hereby decree both your souls are free, and I do agree that over time the souls in heaven and hell should be sent to limbo to be reborn. Kami, you shall stay in heaven, and Yami shall stay in hell, but you both shall not become the angel of redemption and damnation. Those are titles your mothers respectively own, but Gabrielle, you shall spend time in hell as punishment for your crimes, and your son Michael shall take over for you while you are being punished. Michael, you are on parole for now. Your actions are also something I do not like. I will give you a chance to redeem yourself without your mother's influence, which is why you will take over her for a while." As he turned his head at the ones he was speaking to, Sakumo then turned back to Naruto and AI and said, I am giving you both the title of guardian angels. You both shall be allowed in all realms. You will be able to be in mortal form or spirit form at choice so that you can interact however you please to fulfill the needs of those you find are worthy of divine help. Yami and Kami are not allowed direct influence into the lives of mortals. Shinigami and Gabrielle are only allowed to interfere with mortals after they die. You both shall be the only ones who can interact with the mortals to help them in their time of need if you feel they need help. With both of your empathies toward those who are in pain both physically and emotionally, you both will be able to understand the needs of the people of the world better. Do you both understand what I am giving you? Naruto, who was still holding on to AI, looked at her and she nods at him and Naruto said, yes. Sakumo said, good. If you have need of my counsel or advice then speak. I may not answer right away or in a way you would anticipate, but I am always listening and watching, now to end this foolishness. As he snapped his fingers and everyone who had escaped from heaven and hell was gone. Sakumo said, the mortals have forgotten everything that has happened since you first both appeared. Naruto and AI, well, almost all mortals have. I have allowed Kitsu and Shikamaru to keep their memories but everything else has been reset. It is now your choice as to what will happen. Yami, Kami, I love you both, but please let my next visit be on a more positive note. Don't make me scold you both. I shall now send your father's soul back to Limbo to be reborn AI, but you will be able to see him when he is reborn. Goodbye, as he disappeared in a beam of light. Naruto looked at AI, who bit her lip and said, do you love me? Naruto smiled softly and said, I have since the first moment I saw you. I just was angry because of what happened with my mother being taken from me and I took it out on you. AI leaned up and kissed Naruto on the lips and Shikamaru, who had walked up with Kitsu in her fox form, said, troublesome, so what do we do now? Naruto and AI broke apart and Naruto said, I think AI and I should spend a little time to get to know each other. There's nothing that says that we have to start right away, is there? As he looked at AI. AI giggled at the look on Naruto's face and shook her head and said, I don't think so. Naruto said, then how about we spend life with Shikamaru and Kitsu for now? Kitsu said while in her fox form, but how are we going to explain me being here? If things have been changed then. Just then Iruka walked up and said, Shikamaru, Kitsu, both of you are late for class. Just because you're both betrothed to each other doesn't mean that you can skip class. Everyone blinked and Shikamaru said, what do you mean we are betrothed to each other? Iruka said, don't play dumb with me Shikamaru. Kitsu was sent here as part of the peace agreement between the Godime Mizukage and the Sandime Hokage when Konoha agreed to aid the bloodline side to end the civil war there. It was decided that she and you would be married and you have been inseparable since you first laid eyes on each other. Now come on. It's time to get to class, both of you, and Kitsu, your bloodline is useful for scouting undetected but now is not the time to be using it. As he thumped her on the nose and she was covered in smoke and returned to her human form and Shikamaru blew backwards with a nosebleed as Iruka quickly turned his head and screamed, and how many times do I have to tell you not to change without your cloths? Kitsu looked at both AI and Naruto, who were looking away and whistling innocently, and Shikamaru muttered, troublesome. Causing both guardian angels to laugh as they walked away. A figure hidden from view shook his head and thought, best wishes my family. Before he disappeared. In hell Gabrielle screamed in rage as she fought in the pit of endurance as Shinigami laughed and thought, this is payback for trying to hurt my son bitch, ouch, that's got to hurt. I doubt she will ever have kids again, or Sid Ajin for that matter, who knew a person foot could actually get stuck there, and why did all the prisoners here target her when they heard that she's here for crimes against Naruto and his mate? Yami, who was standing beside Shinigami, said, it's scary. If Naruto wanted he could have taken the throne from me at any time. The prisoners respect him. They knew he wasn't the one locked up with them but they were the ones locked up with him, but he never used his power or strength to do more than to defeat them. He was honest and fair with them. Where did we screw up to teach him those virtues? This is hell for Pete's sake. Shinigami said, I have no idea mum, no idea at all. Ouch, that makes my boobs hurt just looking at it. Yami tilted her head to the side and said, did she just? Shinigami blinked and said, holy shit, she really is a bitch in here. This isn't hell, this is heaven for her. Yami said, I think I need to talk to Dad about sending her back. She's scaring the murders and rapist. Shinigami took a step back and said, we never mentioned this to Naruto, right? Yami said, yeah, he doesn't need any more mental scarring, so how long do you think it will take for you to become a grandma yourself, dear? Shinigami said, I don't know, but I bet I'll be damned before I let Gabrielle near my grandchild. Yami said, you're already damned, dear, it comes with the neighborhood. Shinigami said, bless you mother. Yami said, don't curse at your mother young lady or. Shinigami said, or what mother? Yami said, I'll lock you in the pit with Gabrielle and make you watch her having fun. Shinigami paled and said, you win mother. Yami said, damn straight I do. Just then a scream of pleasure was heard from the pit and both women quickly ran away vowing not to look back. In heaven Michael shivered and thought, why do I got the feeling I'm going to be a brother again?